Hello out there, and welcome into High Top Sports Network's presentation of WPIAL football. Tonight's action will include the Kiski area Cavaliers playing host to the Franklin Regional Panthers. My name is Joe Rhodes. I'm going to be here just for the pregame, and then I'm going to hand it off to Tristan Borland and Mark Flem for the call of tonight's game. Before we get into it here on High Top Sports Network, we're going to share a little pre-game interview that we were able to conduct with Cavaliers head coach Sam Albert yesterday prior to the game. So without further ado, our interview here on High Top Sports Network with Kiski area head coach Sam Albert. And welcome back to High Top Sports Network. Joe Rhodes here with Kiski head coach Sam Albert. Coach Albert, before we talk about this week's game, let's take a second and kind of reflect back on your win over Butler. Kind of take me through that game, some of the things that you were able to take away from it, maybe good, some of the good, some of the bad.
The good part is we won.
Right.
The bad part is we made 1,000 mistakes.
Sure.
The good part is they're correctable.
Right.
You expect that in the first game. Butler's a quality football team. Big up front, they're coached extremely well. They have nice, skilled kids. So I was happy with our kids for the win. As you know, the heat was ridiculous. We had kids laying all over the field with cramps.
Right.
But just to make it through that first game with a victory against a quality opponent is big for us.
So now looking ahead, Franklin Regional, what do you kind of know about them, and maybe what are some of the things that you focused on this week to kind of be prepared for what they're going to be able to throw at you?
Well, we tell our kids anytime you play Franklin, it's going to be a fight. They're tough kids. They come to play. We just try to correct our mistakes. It doesn't matter who we play as long as we play our scheme. The big key for us, of course, is staying healthy. Our first 11 we put on the field, we'll play with anybody. After that, we kind of drop off like a lot of teams do.
Sure.
So we want to stay healthy and just correct the mistakes we made.
How have you guys looked in practice this week leading up to this? I know it's still early, and you're probably still trying to knock off rust. One game's not going to do that. So kind of how have the guys looked in practice this week in preparation for this matchup against the Panthers?
You know, I'm lucky that way. Our kids come to work every day. They're great kids. I love being around them. I never have to yell at them to motivate them. They come ready to work each day.
Coach, obviously you have a kind of a complex offense. You have two quarterbacks within it. How do you feel like that's something that's going to benefit you guys and maybe give you a leg up on some teams that for you, you're going to study Franklin Regional. You know that they're going to throw one quarterback at you, whereas you guys have some options there, and that seems to be the case throughout your team. Have some depth at certain positions. So, talking a little bit about that, Coach, how do you feel like that's going to bode well for you? I know you say that depth might not be the best, but still, it seems like you guys have some positions and some strengths that other teams certainly do not.
Well, the quarterback thing makes it nice for us because they both have a strength. So you design plays for both of them, and you have to prepare for both of them. So that's a luxury we have. We do have some very good running backs. Some can get perimeter, some can go hard in the middle, so that's a luxury. And like I said, we scheme that way. So when Brock's in there, we scheme power. When Cuz is in there, we try to get perimeter. So you have to prepare. I really think to be a good team, you have to run and throw. You have to be balanced,
right.
And we try to do that.
Where do you guys feel like you are just overall? As I said a moment ago, it's still early in the season, and obviously it's nice, I'm sure, for you guys. This time last year, you were not able to get in sort of the practices and get in as in depth as you've been able to this year. So I'm sure maybe comparing it to last year, how do you feel like things are looking to this point, going into the second week of the season?
I mean, it's light years. Last year, anytime we had a young team, anytime you take camp away, those 2-a-day practices,
right.
We didn't have heat act, we didn't have camp, we didn't have any exhibition games to experiment or see who could play.
Right.
And now we go Penn Hills, North Hills, right in a row, same week.
Right.
So, we're blessed to have camp this year. We got to evaluate the kids. We got to put our scheme in and work on it. These are exhibition games. You want to win every one.
Sure.
But you just want to stay healthy is the key.
Coach, I'm sure you being a coach, you got to look at what some of the other teams in your section did this past week. With that in mind and having a little bit more information to your disposal to kind of make a correct assessment, what do you forecast for this conference? Obviously, there's some big dogs in there, you guys being one of them, but kind of take me through how you kind of predict it going and some of the things that we as fans out there when we're watching these games can kind of look forward to, maybe specific matchups.
It's scary. I don't know if anybody in our conference. Fox Chapel lost to a quality football team.
Right.
Shaler won. You know, like you said, everywhere I've been, most schedules, there's one or two teams where you go, all right.
Hey, we'll have a night off.
Yeah, we'll have a night off. Here, each week is a battle, and there is nobody down. North Hills is loaded. Fox Chapel returns everybody. Penn Hills, Pine Richland, you know. There is no off weeks. Every game is going to be a battle.
Coach, this game against Franklin Regional, for you guys to be successful and come out with another W, move to 2-0 in the season, what will you guys have to do to make sure that happens?
We got to correct our mistakes. Like I said, they're a quality football team, and they're really well coached. We need to do what we do best and correct our mistakes, and then we could come out with a victory.
Coach, we'll be here covering the game. You guys are watching it right now. This is the pregame show. Coach Albert, thank you as always. Appreciate you making the time, and best of luck out there against the Panthers.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you here on the other side.
Welcome back to Richard Dilds Field as we get set for tonight's contest between Franklin Regional and Kiski area. Thanks for that interview with Coach Sam Albert. Always nice to talk to Coach Sam Albert. He's definitely a guy that's not a loss for words. I don't know if you've ever met with Coach Sam Albert here, Tristan, but you always get something to talk about when you hear from Coach Sam Albert.
Yeah, I haven't spoke with Coach Auer quite yet. This is a little bit newer area for me, but this is definitely after hearing that interview, you can tell he's a guy that's never really at a loss for words. Always has something to say about someone or something. So that's awesome to have for whenever you're talking about an interview.
And very animated. We're sitting here, you know, our volume was shut off in our headset. We're sitting here watching Sam Albert's interview through the monitor, and you can see the animation in his hands when he talks, squeezing, fisting, pounding his hands, always energetic, always ready to go.
And that's great. You could see, you know, he keeps in good shape for a gentleman of his age. You see those arms bulging every single time he squeezes, and I'm going, man, I hope my arms look like that whenever I'm his age.
Well, a lot of people in this area that know Coach Sam Albert know him from when he owned the gym down in Vandergrift. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yes, so he was a gym owner at one point in time, and yes, certainly keeps up with his fitness. So, as we said, we're getting ready here. We're about 18 minutes away from the opening kickoff between the Panthers and the Cavaliers. Franklin Regional comes into the game having defeated Plum last week 41-12. Kiski is also coming in on off a win as they beat Butler 21-7. So both teams looking to extend this into a streak. Obviously, defense was the name of the game for both sides, as each side only gave up, each side gave up less than 2 touchdowns. I know on the Kiski end, we were watching it here, and it should have been a shutout. There was a last-second fumble when they were killing some clock, and Butler was able to put up a last-second touchdown. But defense was certainly the name of the game for Kiski, and I'm sure it's going to be the same thing again tonight.
And I guess, like you said, maybe we'll even see a shutout, especially when it comes to two teams with great defenses. I imagine this is going to be like the Super Bowl between the Rams and New England, whenever it was just a game that just came down to literally mere inches. And I imagine that's what we're going to see this evening. Two teams battling out where every single inch, every single yard, every single scrum that they win on that field is going to decide, you know, that 1 or 2 point difference whenever we see. I'm imagining at the end of the game, scoreboard's going to read 3-7. Whether or not, I imagine, you know, with it being home field, I'm going to say Kiski, but I'm not going to put my name quite on that quite yet. But I'm going to have to say 7-3 either side going.
Well, when you're talking about defense, certainly on the Franklin Regional side, you have to mention Caden Smith. I'm not sure if you saw the stats from last week, but the senior had 3 interceptions for the Panthers, and he also contributed on the offensive side when he had a reverse throwing touchdown.
My goodness.
It was reverse throw for 64 yards. So Caden Smith was certainly doing it all for the Panthers last week, and certainly defense was the name of the game for him. As I mentioned, 3 interceptions. For Kiski on the opposite side on defense, when you start talking about defense for the Cavaliers, you're certainly going to talk about Brock Wilkins, and you're going to talk about Braden Dunmeyer. 2 senior linebackers, arguably the heart and soul of the defense, and basically the centerpiece of everything Coach Albert is trying to do.
And you have to think about when it comes to a defense, whenever you think about a heart and soul of a team, I don't know about you, Matt, but I definitely think about the linebacker core, and especially when it comes to stopping any kind of runs up the middle. You know, in high school, usually the ground and pound game is usually what teams go to. So having 2 stellar linebackers right in the middle of the field, that run game is going to be absolutely shut down, and I imagine to see that here this evening.
On the Franklin Regional side, you talk about middle linebackers. I was talking with one of the coaches here in the booth before the game, and they have an injury to one of their starting middle linebackers, Garrett Deller. He's a senior. He also spends a little bit of time in the backfield as an H-back for him, so not quite sure who is going to take that starting spot. But anytime in high school football that you're losing a starter, a good portion of the time the drop down of the backups can be suspect. So it's certainly going to be something to watch on the Franklin Regional side.
Yeah, especially like you said, those backups. When it comes to high school, you never know how far of a drop that's going to be. Let's hope it's not off the face of a cliff, but I imagine that these are 2 teams that have great talent on the field, and so I imagine even behind those stars, some of that roster depth has to be there. Whenever you talk about these bigger schools, these quad A schools, they have some good teams and some good backups whenever it comes to losing their starters.
So it's going to be an interesting game here tonight. As I mentioned, both teams coming off a week 0 victory. Franklin Regional defeated Plum 41-12, and the Cavaliers beat Butler 21-7. So something has to give. We're going to have one team that will have an official win streak and one team that's actually going to have to try to get things back going as we enter section play.
And I don't know about you, Matt, but I love whenever we have games like this. When it is, you know, one team has to give. That's the beauty of football. That's the beauty of most sports. Somebody has to lose. Somebody has to give up. But you don't want to be that. You know, you have to have that competitive side. You don't want to be that team that loses. So I love games like this where it's going to be 2 teams that absolutely refuse to lose this game.
And especially at the beginning of the season, not really knowing what to expect. I'm sure both teams are excited about their week 0 victories, but I'm also certain, especially when you talk about the Cavaliers, there's a lot of things to work on. We saw last week interchangeable parts at quarterback from the Cavaliers. That was something we knew was going to happen going in. Logan Johnson was the team's starter, and he certainly earned the start again for the Cavaliers this week. I know he had at least 1 touchdown run. I know he threw for another. So after some first half struggles, he definitely settled down and settled in and led the Cavaliers. But there is LeBrin Smith, the junior, who's going to be waiting there, hopefully to getting some snaps. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the Kiski offensive side. Couldn't get much going through the air, a lot of misfires, and leading receiver Calvin Hindley was held without a catch last week. So Cavaliers certainly have a lot of things to work on, even after scoring 21 points.
Yeah, I have to assume, are they going to go? If I was the coach for Kiski, I would not throw the ball. I would try to keep it on the ground, keep running it. I mean, yes, your halfback is injured, but, I mean, come on. It's high school football. You got to ground and pound, establish that run game, and then if you establish it, run some play action, then send it over.
We're going to take a quick pause here as we get set for the national anthem. We're just over 12 minutes away from the opening kickoff. Welcome back to Richard Diltz Field as we're just under 10 minutes away from the opening kickoff. It's whiteout night here for the Cavaliers, the student section just marching their way in. And I know they're getting set for an exciting match. We talked right before the national anthem about the excitement of two teams coming off wins, especially early in the season. And like yourself, I'm definitely looking forward to see, what are these two teams going to bring to us tonight?
Yeah, you have to imagine what's going to give first, offense or defense. And like we said, both of these teams have great defenses, but, this is football. One team has to win, one team has to lose, one team has to put on more points than the other one. So you have to wonder whose defense is going to break first. Is it the team that has both of their star linebackers healthy, or is it the team that has its starting linebacker out right now? So you have to think about that and factor that in whenever you're thinking about which team is going to break first.
So watching the film of last week's game, the Kiski game versus Butler, on the surface, as I said, Kiski should have posted a shutout. They gave up a late touchdown with less than a minute ago after a fumble while they were trying to kill the clock. So on paper, it looked like a solid defensive effort. But if you really break down the film and look at it, Kiski, their secondary was very suspect. There were several offensive plays where receivers had a couple steps and the quarterback just misfired, right, left, down the field. There was a couple plays where you noticed that the secondary was caught looking in the backfield on play actions. So that's going to be something that certainly we should pay attention to. Are there adjustments made in this Kiski area secondary, and does Franklin Regional have enough offense to take advantage of that?
That's what I was going to say. I expect Franklin Regional, we all know in high school football, we watch film. You watch film at this level. And so you have to assume that Franklin Regional is game planning to throw the ball, to take advantage of that secondary, to run some play action. But like you said, Mark, you have to assume, can they take advantage of that? Do they have the talent and the skill on offense to take advantage of the weaknesses that we see here from Kiski?
Well, the Franklin Regional is certainly not shy about putting the ball in the air. As we mentioned, Caden Smith, from his wide receiver position last week, took a reverse and threw it down the field 64 yards for a touchdown. Now, as I said, I was talking to one of the coaches here up in the booth earlier on before the pregame, and he said they try to have a balanced attack, but based on just that play alone, certainly shows you the Panthers are not afraid to air it out.
And the Panthers are also not afraid to throw some trick plays in there. Like you said, Mark, early in the season, these two teams, they don't really quite know each other that well. They don't know who's going to throw what or do what. So this is a great time. You know what? If you want to run a double reverse, do it. But they haven't seen the film yet. They don't know what you're running. Or if you want to throw that reverse throw touchdown, that's not a bad idea, really. Nobody really knows what each other are going to do.
And to your point, I don't think either team fully knows what they're going to do either, meaning they have an idea of what they want their identity to be. But early in the season, they're feeling their personnel out, seeing who's comfortable in what role, where can we certainly attack the other team's weaknesses, but what are our strengths? I know from watching Kiski over the last few years under Coach Albert, they certainly want to run the ball. They're not afraid of using the quarterback and several running backs in the backfield. We saw Brock Wilkins handle a lot of the load last week, but newly added or newly joined, I should say, Chad Hepler, senior Chad Hepler, was a big factor in the backfield last week as he sprung several big runs to help the Cavalier offense. He took his junior season off, so after a year off football, Chad Hepler came back and not only helped the team on offense, but he also had an interception to spring for the defense. So, again, talking about teams trying to figure out who they are and what they do, I'm sure that Coach Albert was expecting some contributions from Hepler, but from week one to get that's certainly something I guarantee he didn't plan on.
He didn't plan on, but like you said, do you wonder if he's going to start taking it? He's like, listen, we have this kid who can play well. He can play his positions that he needs to. So I need to start taking advantage of that. Like you said, Mar, that's something, like you said, they're kind of not only filling out their plays, they're filling out their roster. Who are some kids that they can really count on when it counts, or who are some teams that you really just can't expect what they're going to do from week to week.
And one thing that I know the Cavaliers can count on, and they're certainly going to look to, is senior receiver Calvin Heinley. As I mentioned earlier, he was held without a catch last week. He led the team in receptions and touchdowns last year, He was selected, I believe, first team all-conference. It might have been second team, but an all-conference player.
That's good.
Somebody that the Cavaliers rely on. Now, he's coming off a knee injury in the offseason where at first he thought he was going to be able to play through it. Then eventually he ended up having surgery. So don't know if that was a factor in week one, but we saw several times Logan Johnson try to get Calvin Heinley going in the passing game. On the first play of the game, the pass was intercepted. So it's something that Kiski wants to do. They want to throw the ball. They want to get Heinley involved. And certainly after not having any catches in week one, I'm sure he's going to be itching to get involved in what's going on the offensive side.
I was going to say, I'm looking at Heinley's stats over here. 6'3", 185 pounds. Is this Calvin Heinley or Calvin Johnson? This kid, this is a big kid. And I hope to see him really go out there and show us, get some hops, really get up there and make some plays at 6'3". I expect to see this kid really leaping for that ball and making plays.
The other piece of the Cavalier offense that we didn't see much last year, but we certainly saw a good bit of it last week, is Matthew Hilty, another receiver for the Cavaliers. Again, he was hurt last year and contributed, but not as much as I'm sure the coaches expected. But in week 0, which would be week 1 for us, but week 0, Matthew Hilty certainly took over the load as he had a touchdown for the Cavaliers last week and had several catches. So while Heinley maybe not have been part of the offense, Hilty certainly picked it up.
I was going to say, and you have to have that when you have a number 2 receiver or number 1. I'm not quite sure where they stand on the lineup, but you have to assume with one receiver struggling, you have to have another receiver that can pick up the slack and really, keep that offense running. So it's good to hear that they have a number 1 receiver that even if he struggles, they still have a very good number 2 receiver that can pick it up.
We're getting ready for the Cavaliers to make their way onto the field right now. We have just under 3 minutes remaining before the opening kickoff between Franklin Regional and Kiski area. Before we get started, we want to talk to you a little bit about High Top Sports Network. This is going to be your official home for Cavalier sports throughout the season at home and on the road. If you are a business owner or know of somebody that owns a business, certainly we'd love to see you as part of our team. We're going to play a few commercials here, a few pieces of info to show you what we have as some of our sponsors and part of our High Top Sports Network team from other areas around the AK Valley.
Just finishing up a 100% outside renovation project at the Catanic store. Don't miss out. Come and see us. Check out our Pennsylvania skill game room. We have the newest machines, the newest games. We have 5 machines. We're about to add a 6th machine. $10,000 jackpots on all 6 machines. Don't miss out on a chance to win. We have the lowest possible prices and the best quality of anybody in the area. We'll take it up against anybody in the area. We put our stamp of approval, #SableMeat, on every single package, and we're here to serve you every single day. We also have chef-prepared, chef-prepared sushi, everyday fresh, and Sushi Wednesday, $5 sushi rolls, and you can win by liking and sharing our favorite page, Sushi Madness shirt. Don't forget to check out our millions of bakery deli products that we're making fresh every day. Appreciate all the support out there. We can't do what we do without you. Come and see us.
Protecting the things you love and how you do so is among the most important decisions you'll ever have to make. TGIF Solutions can provide you with the peace of mind by supplying answers to all of your insurance needs, whether it be home, auto, business, life, or farm coverage. Contact the team at the Shellhammer Atwood Agency today in West Katanning to be sure that you, your loved ones, and the things that matter most stay safe when it matters the most. TGIF Solutions, insurance for what matters.
With over 40 years of experience, the fine folks at Steffi's Country Catering in Adrian can provide you with several scrumptious options for your next family gathering, corporate event, or tailgate. Make sure to try one of their custom meat and cheese trays or pick up a delicious Sunday takeout special. Steffi's Country Catering is a Leader Times Silver Best of winner 3 years running. And as the holidays approach, get back to celebrating with friends and family and leave the cooking to Steffi's. Sugar Rush Cupcakes by Tara are available by order. That's Steffi's Country Catering. Find them on Facebook.
Gross Embroidery and Sign Shop is the official clother of High Top Sports Network and is a family-owned company that can handle all your custom embroidery, custom sign, and laser engraving needs. Located at 409 4th Street in downtown Fort City, Gross Embroidery and Sign Shop can create sports and career apparel to the exact specifications of your organization. Their laser engraving department can put your logo or design on glasses, tumblers, insulated cups, signs, coffee cups, and more. Call Gross Embroidery and Sign Shop at 724-763-2461 today.
Welcome back to Richard Diltz Field as we are getting set for the opening kickoff between Franklin Regional and Kiski area. As we mentioned in the pregame, both teams come into this contest 1-0. So we're excited to get things going. Let's see what happens. Here's Cody Dykes getting set to kick for the Cavaliers. High, deep kick. Caught at the 5-yard line. Across the 20. He's hit just shy of the 30. Breaks a tackle across the 40. Still working his way up to the 46-yard line. Great return for the Panthers.
Mark, I was going to say, look, did you notice that it wasn't like, he wasn't bobbing and weaving. He was hitting a guy, bounces off, hits another guy, bounces off. You could not do that throughout the rest of this game. I imagine that the Cavaliers are going to settle down and kind of really get their head back into this game, but you can't have guys bouncing off left and right in a game like this.
That was number 16, Aiden Udock. As I said, he took the ball right around the 5-yard line, and Franklin Regional will begin 1st and 10 from their 46-yard line. In the gun, that looks like Connor Donnelly for Franklin Regional. Man in motion. Donnelly rolls to his left. Still looking, and he's hit. He's down on the ground. The ball is loose. But it is either ruled incomplete or it went out of bounds. Donnelly, nothing going downfield, and he was hit and stopped by a Cavalier defender. And that will bring up 2nd down.
It seems that they're going to call that a fumble out of bounds. And you know what? When you're on the offense, you love to see that ball roll out of bounds because you know what? You took the sack, ball rolls out of bounds. At least you didn't turn it over.
I thought that was going to be the call as well, but I don't see the sticks moving. See where the referee spots it. He's standing on the 41-yard line. So that would be a loss of 5. We were originally marked at the 46.
Yeah, I was just looking at the replay over here, here in the booth, and it seemed like it rolled out of his hand whenever he threw that. Oh, but they're bringing it up. So I guess they're calling it an incomplete pass.
Yeah, there were several coaches on the Franklin Regional side that were adamant that that was a pass, and indeed it is. So 2nd and 10. Here's a handoff. The give is to Tyler Buska, and he goes nowhere. A swarm of Cavalier defenders led by, as we mentioned, Braden Dunbar.
My goodness, that was a whole swarm of Cavaliers there. Mark, I'm loving this defense. They have absolutely, as the youngster would say, no chill out here on the line.
Tyler Buska took the handoff, tried to find something up the middle, and he was immediately hit by several blue jerseys, and it's going to be a loss of 2. So it'll bring up 3rd and 12 for Franklin Regional. Donnelly, the shotgun, 2 receivers to his left, man in motion. Donnelly looking, avoids a tackle. No, he did not. Braden Dunbar yet again, as we mentioned in the pregame, one of the centerpieces, one of the leaders of the Cavaliers defense, and there he is again for a sack and a force of 4th down.
Feels like we're in Beaver Stadium out here. Great fan attendance here, and everybody is so rowdy, especially that rowdy section I see over there on the left with some heads waving in the air.
Whiteout night here, as I mentioned in the pregame. The student section dressed in all white and certainly ramped up for this week 1 game. 4th and 21, Franklin Regional is forced to punt. That's Matt Hilty who calls for the fair catch. And indeed, he will make it at the 36-yard line, and that's where the Cavalier offense will take over.
Good kick, and it's unfortunate if you're Franklin Regional losing that type of that ground. You know, you got up to the 46 on the kickoff, and now, boom, you're out of it. Now you have to concede and hope that your defense can hold up against Kiski.
10:09 remaining in the opening quarter. Kiski will try their hand at the offensive side for the first time today. That's Logan Johnson at quarterback. In the backfield with him, I believe, is Chad Hepler. That's Dunmeyer in motion. A give is to Hepler. Toss off that left side, and Hepler will approach the 40-yard line, tackle just shy.
A good pickup in that toss outside. You can see that the Cavaliers really don't want to test that inside of defensive line, the interior defensive line, so they're running it to the outside. And a good pickup on first down.
Hepler picked up 3 on that carry, so we'll call it a short 4.
Yeah.
Brings up a 2nd and 6 from the 40. Johnson in the gun. That is Wilkins behind him. Looks to his right. Fires to the sideline, and he overthrows Matt Hilty.
A little bit too much mustard on that throw, and you can tell an interesting pistol formation there. Running back right behind the quarterback, and I thought it was going to be a run, but obviously a little bit of a throw to the outside and just a little bit too much sauce on it.
I can't imagine that was the primary receiver on the play. That's a tough throw and catch with that receiver kind of in the flat, having to catch that ball over his shoulder. Not much room on that sideline, and certainly very difficult catch for limited yards. So 3rd and 6 from the 40, 9:24 remaining in the opening quarter. Here's Johnson again. That's Hilty in motion. Johnson drops back, looks to Heinley, and the pass is just a little bit high and off the hands of Calvin Heinley. That'll bring up 4th down.
You could tell on that pass that Heinley went up, but he only used one hand. He could feel that defender right on his back. He was a little bit too scared to put 2 hands up. 2 hands, Mark, that would have been a first down, but unfortunately he was a little hesitant. 1 hand, now that's an incompletion.
As we said, pass a little bit high, and Heinley unable to grab it. So that'll put Kiski in the punt formation. 4th and 6 from their own 40. This is Cody Dykes, all-conference punter. Lets loose at the 31, and not one of his best for sure. Ball bounces inside the 30. Takes a little bit of a Cavalier roll. And Franklin Regional will get their second chance on the offensive side from the 26-yard line.
A 20-yard difference from their onset of their first drive. So let's see if the second drive can pick up a little more steam. But I don't know, Mark. After that first drive, I'm a little worried here for that offensive line for Franklin Regional.
Anybody that has watched Cavalier football during the Albert tenure certainly know that the defense is something that he stresses. And he likes a solid ground game. Not many blowouts, if you will. Not a lot of high-scoring games. So to see the Cavalier defense force a 3 and out and have a little bit struggles early on the offensive side, certainly not surprising. Here's a fake handoff. Donnelly keeps it. And again, he's hit pretty quick. Tackled by Wilkins. And that looks to be a loss of maybe 1 on the play.
Loss of 1. I see, Mark, we were speaking during the commercials. I see a player on nose tackle, a very large individual. I believe he has quite the nickname. And I imagine that he's causing quite the stress there for Franklin Regional.
Yeah, that's Brandon Lawhorn Moore, and they don't call him Beef for nothing. Beef taking on 2 tacklers there, and just as we mentioned his name, there he is right on the tackle there. Beef was double teamed on that play. He was able to shed off the guard on the left side, and he was able to come up and make the tackle. It looks like Franklin Regional is going to pick up 2 on the play. 3rd and 9 from the 24.
My goodness, they seem to be going in the shotgun again, Mark, but if I'm Franklin Regional, I'm not running the ball up towards Beef anymore.
Believe it or not, this is his first year playing a significant amount of time on the defensive side. many fans wondered, why was Beef not on defense? And certainly in these opening games, he's shown why he should be out there. Here's a pass across the 35 and up to the 37 by the Panthers, and a big third down conversion for Franklin Regional.
The first third down conversion of the game, I believe, and that's just going to go to show you that this is going to be a slow game where every inch is a mile.
Yeah, our first down of the game comes in a catch and throw. Donnelly, I wasn't sure who the number was, but a great pass by Donnelly to give Franklin Regional a 1st and 10 from their 39.
Yeah, that would be number 8, Donnelly, with the quarterback with that pass.
Man in motion. Donnelly, a little bit of toss. That's Maddox Morrison. Morrison across the 40 up to the 43-yard line. Morrison came in motion there. Donnelly took the snap, just kind of hand pass, little touch pass to Morrison, and he picked up 4 yards on that carry. Make it 5.
I have to say, I believe it's number 2, Smith for Kiski, able to shut down that corner. You could tell that was supposed to go all the way around to the outside, but he was able to shut down that corner. Good job.
Here's Donnelly out of the shotgun again. Looks to his left. Quick throw to Morrison. Morrison takes it across the 45, across midfield, and he approaches the Kiski 30-yard line. Great tackle by Matthew Hilty, I believe, but a big pickup for Franklin Regional.
What a huge play there, and I thought he was gone. Good job by Kiski to be able to recoup and able to catch him from behind, but I thought that was about to be a touchdown right there.
Franklin Regional looking like Kiski from last week. That was a play that Kiski ran a couple times against Butler, and Hilty himself was able to score on that quick wide receiver screen. And the Panthers took advantage of a weakness or saw an opening, if you will, and another first down. Here's Donnelly. Handoff up the middle. That's Tyler Buska. Buska approaches the 25-yard line. He's going to pick up 5 on that run. Bring up 2nd and 5 from the 27. So Franklin Regional mixing it up here early going, as we said. They said they wanted to be spread it around. They wanted to be balanced on offense, and certainly they've done that so far. Runs by Buska, run by Morrison and Donnelly, and a couple big passing plays. And Franklin Regional is moving down the field. Here's Buska again. He's across the 25. Excuse me, he's at the 25. Pickup of 2. Bring up a 3rd and 3.
Mark, just chiming in real quickly, too. This you said it looked like Kiski from a week ago. It looks a lot like the Steelers from a season ago. These short passes that they want to consider almost as an extension of the run game. You're seeing Franklin Regional use that and use it well right now.
Absolutely. So let's see what we get here from 3rd and 3 with just under 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Donnelly, fake handoff. It's a screen. That is Buska down the left sideline, cuts his way back inside the 10, approaching the 5-yard line. So huge play by Franklin Regional on 3rd and 3. That'll bring up a 1st and goal.
So, Mark, I was going to say, you have to remember, so you said that Albert Light's having a good defense, especially having a lot of pressure in the backfield, and you're seeing with these screenplays that backfiring. It's that chess game that so many people love about football. Rush all your defense in there to try to get the quarterback. He drops it over top into the middle of the field with a running back with almost nobody near him because everybody's in the backfield trying to get to the quarterback. We've seen so much success with doing that so far this game.
I don't know if it's Kiski's main philosophy, but they certainly live with the mindset of blitz and blitz some more. And to your point, that starts to leave some openings. And right now, Franklin Regional is finding them. So we're going to get a timeout here by the Panthers. While we're on a timeout, let's go back to High Top Sports Network and talk to some of our businesses in the area and show you some of the things that we can provide you and your customers. Welcome back. 4:09 remaining in the first quarter. Franklin Regional with a 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Here's Donnelly. Toss. That is number 4, Morrison. And he tried the corner on the left in a very short gain. So great job by the Kiski defense. They tried to find the corner, and Kiski was able to stop him for a, again, very small gain. We'll call it a gain of 1. Brings up a 2nd and goal from the 4. Donnelly from the gun. Looks to his right. Fires to his right. Ball is up. And it is caught. That is a good catch by Caden Smith. We talked about him in the pregame. He certainly brought a lot of electricity to the Panthers last week, and here he is getting Franklin Regional on the board for the first time tonight.
And how tough is that, Mark, to stop that kind of a pass into the back corner of the end zone? Had to reach up and get it, just absolutely mossed, I believe is the term, the defender. What a great play there for the Panthers.
Great throw and catch, Donnelly to Caden Smith, and Franklin Regional is the first to put points on the board. 3:27 here in the first quarter. The Panthers lead 6-0. Here's the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. So, as we said, Franklin Regional strikes first on their 2nd possession of the game. Well-balanced offense. Several runs, several passes, which leads to a 7-point advantage.
And several screen passes at that, Mark. You had to remember that whenever the defense made a big deep play into the backfield, that screen passes were absolutely killing the Cavaliers. But you and I both know, Coach Albert is no dummy. He is going to adjust, and I think that we're not going to see those screens work out as well throughout the rest of the game.
Caden Smith, 6'4", 185-pound senior. I'm not quite sure who the corner was on there. It was either 26 or 22. That's Dom Danino or Chad Hepler. Either way, Hepler at 5'7" and Danino at 5'9". Neither had a chance. As the 6'4" Caden Smith, as you said, was able to go up and grab the perfect pass from Donnelly, give the Panthers an early 7-0 lead.
And that's such, like you said, that's such a tough mismatch when you think about the sizes. As somebody being 5'9" myself, it's tough to really be able to compete with some of the taller individuals when it comes to sports like this, where being vertically challenged is quite the challenge.
There's freshman kicker Joseph Bain as he boots it down to the 11-yard line. Returned by, that is Dom Danino. Danino is hit as he crosses the 25, and the Cavaliers will take over from the 26-yard line. So a quick 3-and-out by the Franklin Regional offense early going. The crowd was really into the defensive stand. A lot of excitement here, but there wasn't much that Kiski could do on that 2nd possession. It's basically Franklin Regional was able to have success on any play that they ran.
And notice how quiet this crowd has been able to get. It's a little bit quieter than I remember it being. Let's hope that we can get a little bit more energy back with a couple plays here from the Cavaliers.
That's Logan Johnson in a quarterback for the Cavaliers. In the backfield is Wilkins, and the handoff is to Hepler. Hepler tries the right side. Gets across the 30-yard line up to, looks like the 31. Call it a gain of 4, so a good start. Nice run by Chad Hepler.
Very nice run right at the middle. And you know what? 4 yards on first down, that's good. That's great in terms of keeping the math between the sticks, as they say.
I don't think too many coaches be upset with 4-yard runs. And certainly when you're trailing 7-0 with just under 3 minutes to go in the opening quarter, they'll gladly take 4 every play. So 2nd and 7 from the 31. Here's Johnson. Hand off again to Hepler. Hepler, right of center, lowers his shoulder and approaches the first down marker. I believe he was just a bit short, but another good run by Hepler off that right side.
I see them moving the chains. It must
Yes, they are.
That's
That's a
first.
good spot for the Cavaliers. So that'll be the Cavaliers' first down of the game. Gain of 6 for Chad Hepler on that run. First and 10 from the 37. 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Here's Logan Johnson. Shotgun. Handoff to Brock Wilkins this time. Wilkins lowers his shoulder, and he gets across the 40 up to the 41. So another 4-yard pickup.
And I wonder if this is that steamroll effect, 4 yards, then another, I believe it was 6, and then now another 4. And you have to imagine, is Franklin Regional going to slowly get grinded down? You don't want to get hit by that running back running full speed over and over and over again. So we'll have to see if that continues and if Franklin Regional is eventually going to get tired of being hit in the mouth every single time by that kind of a run.
He's certainly not afraid to pound it up the middle, but you almost feel like they're setting something up to an outside or a play action or off tackle, something. Here's Logan Johnson. Fake handoff. He tried the middle. And this time the Panthers defense was able to hold firm as it looks like it's going to be a loss of maybe about a half a yard on that play.
And I wonder if that was that setup, Mark, that you were talking about, having a quarterback try to make that read option kind of play, and he unfortunately couldn't make quite the cut needed.
So this should be, or could be, the last play of the first quarter here, as we have 45 seconds and counting, 10 seconds on the play clock. Johnson in the gun. He has 3 wide receivers to his left. Wilkins in the backfield with him. Johnson rolls to his left, cut back to the right, shakes off a tackle, but is not able to shake off the tackle by Maddox Morrison. Excuse me. He's unable to escape the second tackler. That was Maddox Morrison, and that's going to be another loss for the Cavaliers.
I believe I saw a ladders concept being played there with 2 players rolling out and 1 player running a streak down the middle, but unfortunately, that kind of pressure, a quarterback's going to have to roll away from it, and unfortunately was tackled in the backfield.
And indeed, that is the last play of the opening quarter. 7-0. Franklin Regional leads.
Just finishing up a 100% outside renovation project containing store. Don't miss out. Come and see us. Check out our Pennsylvania skill game room. We have the newest machines, the newest games. We have 5 machines. We're about to add a 6th machine. $10,000 jackpots on all 6 machines. Don't miss out on a chance to win. We have the lowest possible prices and the best quality of anybody in the area. We'll take it up against anybody in the area. We put our stamp of approval, #SableMeat, on every single package, and we're here to serve you every single day. We also have chef-prepared, chef-quality prepared sushi, everyday fresh, and Sushi Wednesday, $5 sushi rolls, and you can win by liking and sharing our favorite page, Sushi Madness shirt. Don't forget to check out our millions of bakery deli products that we're making fresh every day. Appreciate all the support out there. We can't do what we do without you. Come and see us.
And we're back.
Welcome back to Richard Diltz Field as Kiski faces a 4th and 12. Cody Dykes back to punt for the Cavaliers. A little better punt this time by Dykes. It bounces around the 37-yard line, gets another Cavalier roll as it approaches the Franklin Regional 20. So Kiski area had success on 3 consecutive runs. They were able to pick up a first down, but 2 consecutive losses on plays, and now the Franklin Regional offense will take over again.
And you have to be careful, like you said, they picked up some good steam, and then all it took was 1 play not going correctly, and the entire thing fell apart. And so now you have to hope that defense, that you were saying, Mark, that Coach Albert is so proud of, can come up here and really make a big stop because they need it right here and now.
So here's Donnelly back out for the Panthers. He's in the shotgun with 2 wide receivers to his right and left. 1 in motion here. Botched handoff, I believe, or it was supposed to be a fake. Either one. The running back collided with Donnelly. Ball came loose and took a fortuitous bounce right back into his hands. And it's going to bring up it's going to have the Panthers faced with a 5-yard loss. Make it 6. Second and 16 from the 15-yard line.
Man, that's tough. This is a really good showing here of how the rest of this game is going to go if Franklin Regional is able to come up here and dig themselves out of this hole that they put themselves in.
Here's Donnelly. Handoff. That is number 5, Buska. And it might be another loss. Not sure if he was able to get back to that line of scrimmage. Call it a loss of a half of a yard. So 3rd and 15 from the 15.5, if you will. 10:45 remaining here in the second quarter. Franklin Regional leads 7-0. Here's Donnelly. Surveys the field. It's picked off. That is an interception and a touchdown. Number 72, Sam Coleman.
What a play there. I thought that was going to be another screenplay, but it seems that, like I told you, Coach Albert, he's no dummy. He now is ready for those screenplays.
Wow, what a shocker that was. As the PA announcer said, just like that, we have a 7-6 ball game.
And right now we're looking at the replay up here in the booth, and I think we're going to be able to see the moment that the defender was able to step in. Oh, right there. He was trying to look for his check down out of the backfield, but unfortunately right into the hands of the defender that was right in his face.
Picked by Cody Dykes. And with 10:23 left in the second quarter, the Cavaliers tie the game at 7. Sam Coleman, the senior lineman, came out of nowhere and picked that ball up out of the air and basically ran untouched into the end zone for the Cavaliers.
And you have to love those big man touchdowns. Unfortunately, now my prediction of the game going 7-3 either way is now completely out of the water. So let's hope we don't get too far out of it, or else I don't know if I'll ever be allowed to broadcast with High Top Sports ever again.
We talked about defense being the name of the game. You wouldn't know it by seeing 2 touchdowns here in basically a quarter. But as you're watching the game, defense was definitely the name of it right there. Sam Coleman was able to put the Cavaliers on the board. And we got a tie ball game with 10:23 remaining.
And this is another defining moment. Franklin Regional needs to, they already lost my defining moment so far, so let's hope that they can step it up here, because now they just got smacked in the mouth. Can they get back up and rebound, or are they just going to get absolutely pummeled like that for the rest of this game?
Your senior Cody Dykes getting set to kick for the Cavaliers. Back deep for the Panthers is Aiden Hudock. Dykes kicks it high, deep, and it will bounce into the end zone. That is the second touchback in 2 weeks for Cody Dykes. So Franklin Regional will take over from the 20-yard line.
Mark, I believe I remember you saying that the kicker for Kiski is quite a good one at that, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, Cody Dykes was named first-team all-conference punter last year.
Wow.
The way I guess the rules are set up for the awards, you can only be named at one position. I guarantee you he would have been named first-team all-conference kicker as well.
Wow.
It is something that he works on religiously, and something that I know the Kiski fans certainly get excited about.
Well, I can see why. He is a very good kicker at that.
So Franklin Regional will take over again from their 20-yard line. Here's Donnelly. The gun. Fake handoff. Looks to his left. The pass is caught. That's Smith. Smith out of bounds right around the 30-yard line.
And Smith got hit hard on that one. You could see he got hit right in the shoulder there and just fell right out of bounds.
We mentioned Smith last week being all-world on both sides of the ball. He had 3 interceptions on the defensive side, and from his receiver position, threw a 64-yard touchdown pass. This week, he has the lone touchdown so far for the Panthers. And there's Donnelly connecting with him yet again. So 1st and 10 from the 30, 9:45 here in the second quarter. Here's Donnelly. Fake handoff. He's going to keep it. He loses the ball. It's on the ground at the 31. I believe I saw a Franklin Regional lineman, number 50, fall on it. And I believe I was wrong, unless Brock Wilkins was able to come in there and take it out of his hands. Kiski area is going to take over.
My goodness. And Mark, just like I said, another defining moment. And you know what? I think we're set. I think that this is going to be the tune of the game, is that Kiski defense is going to be absolutely smothering Franklin Regional for the rest of this game.
As you watch the replay on that one, you can get us caught up, but it's going to be 1st and 10 from the 31, 9:35. It looked like a Franklin Regional lineman fell on it at first. Somehow Brock Wilkins was able to come out with it, and Kiski area will take over again. Here's Logan Johnson. Quick throw to Hilty. He avoids a tackle and gets wrestled down at the 27-yard line. So there's that wide receiver screen we talked about. We saw it on the Franklin Regional side, and now Kiski brings it out of the playbook. And Hilty is able to get the Cavaliers to the 28.
Seems to be a little confusion on the field, but I think everybody's now in agreement with what's supposed to be going on. And like you said, Mark, I think we're going to be seeing that screen a lot more this evening, because it seems to work so well for everyone.
Confusion is definitely one way of putting it. I could probably give you a better description of what happened there. And we have a timeout that is for Kiski. So my guess is that's Dylan Hutcherson there. He tends to get very fiery on the field, to say the least. Dylan Hutcherson. And knowing that, I would assume that his teammates wanted to put that to rest pretty quick and send him away from any potential yellow flags that were coming on the field, as I see Dylan being talked to on the sideline there.
Yeah, and you have to be especially careful. I know that this year across football, whether it's college, whether it's professional, and I guess now it's going to be coming on to the high school side as well, that a lot of teams are trying to be more and more aware and be careful of personal fouls. So I guess it's a good thing to be intense, but not too intense, especially when it comes with your teammates.
So it'll bring up 2nd and 7 from the 28. 8:49 here in the opening half. Score is tied at 7. The Cavaliers look to take advantage of a Brock Wilkins fumble recovery. Here's Logan Johnson. Deep behind center. He hands off to Hepler, and Hepler's hit immediately at the 29-yard line, and he falls forward for a yard. We just talked about flags and extracurricular activity, and there's one that's going to be called on the Franklin Regional side.
My goodness. And like I said, you got to be able to keep those emotions. There's a difference between being intense and being in the penalty region. And unfortunately, right there, a little bit too intense there. We'll have to see what that penalty is on.
I talked to several Cavaliers.
Looked like
players.
51 real fast, guys. I think it's 51 throwing beef, a little blindside block there.
Yep. I talked to several Cavaliers players and fans this week, and there was a lot of stuff being talked on social media between the student sections of both schools, and beef was certainly one of the targets of the Franklin Regional student section. As we see the flag come out, personal foul against the Panthers, and that'll bring up 1st and 10 from the 14.
It seemed like an illegal block in the back there.
Johnson takes it himself up the middle, works his way toward the 10-yard line.
Yeah, actually, if you go back and watch that replay, fellas, Beef was actually trying to get up off the ground, and 51 for Franklin Regional came in as he was about to get up off one knee and just pushed him right back down to the ground. That's where the flag came from.
So a gain of 3 by Johnson on that carry brings up a 2nd and 7 from the 11. Just under 8 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
The always omnipotent Joe Rhodes, always being able to see everything.
Here's Johnson.
20/20 vision, baby.
Dunmeyer in motion. Toss goes to Wilkins off the left side. He's hit and brought down inside the 10, maybe to the 8 or 9 yard line. So it's going to be a gain of 2 or 3. Let's call that the 8.5. So we'll go 3rd and 5 from the 9 yard line. 3rd and 5 from the 9. 7, 10, and counting.
So Mark,
Game tied at 7.
I'm going to do a throwback to my IUP days with my spicy hawk take, as we would call them. I'm going to say pass on this play. With 5 yards to go, you have to throw it here.
So let's see what happens. Here's Logan in the gun, looking to his right. I do believe you called it correctly. In and out of the hands of Matthew Hilty. So your prediction was spot on. Logan Johnson had Matthew Hilty basically wide open. That's as close to wide open as you're going to get in football. And in and out of the hands. And the field goal team's going to have to come onto the field.
I believe that would be the second drop for Hilty so far this game. Unfortunately, it's just into his hand and right out. I wanted the quarterback put a little bit too much zip on that pass to try to beat the defense.
Hilty, definitely one of the more reliable pass catchers on the Kiski team. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to bring that in as Cody Dykes sets up for the 26-yard field goal. The kick goes right down the middle, and Kiski will settle for 3 as they extend their lead to 10-7, 6:46 remaining in the second quarter.
And you know what? It may be only a field goal, but in a game like this, 3 points can be a huge deciding factor. Whether it's 3, even 2 points, can be a huge deciding factor when it comes to a game with defense like this.
I think what's impressive here, too, gentlemen, real quickly, is now it's 10-0 Kiski run ever since Franklin Regional was able to put that nice drive together where they sort of just took their time through those short passes and seemed to really steal the momentum. But credit to Kiski for not letting that really change the outlook of this game. They went on again to score 10 unanswered and looking like the dominant team right now.
And I'm sure that's how the coaches are going to package it, and I certainly wouldn't be disappointed with 10 points coming off a touchdown by our opponent. But when you get a big turnover inside the opponent's territory, and you're only putting 3 up on the board, again, you're going to take it. You're not going to complain about it, but I guarantee you that some of the coaches down there are thinking missed opportunity, especially with that ball going in and out of the hands of a Cavalier receiver. So Dykes will get set to kick. As we said, 10-7. Kiski leads with 6:46 left in the opening half. The kick is a high one. Smith's going to settle under it at the 12. He explodes up the middle, across the 25, approaching the 30. See where he fell, see where he got knocked down or tripped up at. Looks like it's going to be the 30-yard line. So Franklin will take over. 1st and 10 from the 30 with 6:42 remaining.
And again, you have to think about, they weren't able to capitalize on their first drive here for Franklin Regional, and they start on the 46-yard line. It doesn't get much better than that, and I don't know if it's going to get much better than that for either of these two teams.
Their last 2 possessions, interception and fumble. So while you can certainly credit the Kiski defense, if you're Franklin Regional, you'll say, hey, we're beating ourselves. Here's a toss back and throwback. That's Donnelly across the 40, 45, and tackled just shy of midfield. Donnelly tossed it back to Roman Sarnick. Sarnick then threw it back to Donnelly off the left side, and he was able to pick up about 20 yards on that throw and catch.
Yeah, and that's why I was telling you, Mark, that's one of those trick plays where it's like, you know what, that's going to happen, especially whenever you're not quite sure what your opponent is going to be up to, and what a good time to call it.
Roman Sarnick called a 19-yard completion to Donnelly, and it's 1st and 10. Here's Donnelly, looks to his right, fires, it's caught at the 46. And he will be tackled at around the 43 by Braden Dunmeyer.
One thing here, too, gentlemen, that I'm noticing, the tempo of this game and in the way in which it's being played really lends to a quick game. Look at it. We're looking at the clock now, 5:52 left until the half. I don't know if I've heard from our other buddies at our other broadcasts here tonight whether or not they've even gotten to the end of the first quarter. So I just think that the tempo really showing a quick pace and clock rolling, unlike last week when there were 30 different cramps during the Freeport at Armstrong game that I was at.
We probably had the roughly the same amount here on our end with the Kiski-Butler matchup. Fake handoff by Donnelly, and he's going to dump it over to Brett Frick. And Frick is going to get up close to the first down. That's Frick's first touch of the game.
And you have to think more. Notice how when he got hit, he rolled forward. That's great field awareness. He knows, hey, I got to get just a little bit more, but unfortunately he was marked just short of it.
So as you said, we'll call it 3rd and 1, but it's 3rd and a few inches from the 41 with just under 5 minutes remaining. Donnelly, fake handoff, goes downfield. He's hit as he throws, and the ball's going to sail out of bounds. That's Caden Smith, the intended receiver. He was looking for a flag on the play. Referee standing right on top of it, and I would assume he would call that an uncatchable ball as the ball sailed a solid 4 or 5 yards out of bounds.
And Smith, you could see he was just making absolutely sure that there was no way in the world anybody was going to catch that ball. So, you know what? I like the intensity. I like the sportsmanship of really wanting to get in there.
So Franklin Regional came up to the line quickly. 4th and 1 from the 41. Referee nearest to us whistled the play dead for a second as that ball got set. Here's Franklin Regional again. Donnelly keeps it himself, and he plows his way to the 40. That's going to be enough for the first down.
Easily.
As we said, he only had to get a few inches just inside the 41. Saw his helmet basically cross the 40. We'll see where they spot it, but be hard-pressed for this to not be a first down.
Yeah, exactly. You can hear the fans weren't too happy about that call, but you know what? That's the right call, though. A good old-fashioned QB sneak right up the middle, easily the first down.
I would say I 100% agree with you in terms of, right, we're basically on top of the play here. It looked like he was clearly across the line, but if you look where that spot is, it definitely wasn't as simple as we thought. Nonetheless, Franklin Regional with 4:16 and counting. New set of downs. Here's a handoff. That's Sarnick, and he goes nowhere. He's tackled in the backfield, but there's a late flag on the play. Excuse me. Was that number 5? Was that Buska on the carry there? Might have got confused.
I believe so.
I originally thought that was number 6.
It's tough with some of those jerseys being so far away. You know, some of those numbers, the jersey gets wrinkled and 5 turns into 6, which turns into 8. It's tough.
So first, let's settle the penalty here. The face mask on Kiski. So that'll move the ball down the field and give Franklin Regional a new set of downs. You talk about having trouble with the jerseys. This blue on white is a blessing compared to what we had last week. We had gold on white as we were trying to call the Butler Tornado game, and we had a lot of sun. So it was very difficult to see anything in last week's game until we got to nightfall. So I'm not going to complain too much about the blue and white jerseys, the white jerseys with the blue numbers this week. As we said, Franklin Regional, new set of downs at the Kiski 26. 1st and 10 with 4:08 remaining in the second quarter. That's Donnelly, deep behind center. I believe that's Buska beside him. It is. Donnelly looks to his right, fires right to the first down marker. Catch is made by Maddox Morrison. And that's going to be enough for another first down.
Mark, look at this march down here by Franklin Regional. They are just marching down this field with little to no resistance. You have to hope that the Cavaliers are going to make a play right here because this is where it needs to be made.
Donnelly rolled to his right and fired a missile to Morrison right at the line. So get him at a gain of 10 or 11. And again, 1st and 10 for Franklin Regional. This time from the 17-yard line with 3:30 and counting in the second quarter. Here's Donnelly, 3 wide receivers to his left, and a running back to his right in the flat. He's going to look to Smith, the corner of the end zone, but the other Smith on the Kiski sideline, that's LeBrin Smith, had him easily covered, and the ball sails incomplete.
Wow, and you know what? It was the exact same play that Franklin Regional had scored on earlier in the game. That corner route into the back of the end zone, toss up, but unfortunately, Kiski was not fooled this time.
LeBrin Smith saw his first action on the defensive side midway through the season last year, was kind of forced into action due to a few injuries. Now he gets the start here, so kind of learning as he goes.
He's doing
and
great.
He was great coverage on the last play. This time, Caden Smith for Franklin Regional was able to get past LeBrin Smith for Kiski, but fortunately Logan Johnson was there from his safety position to help out, and another incomplete.
Yeah, and he just put his hand right up in the middle of his chest. Good play there to make sure that he wasn't in interference, but still had coverage on that play.
So a couple Smiths in there. Have to make sure everybody knows who we're talking about. Caden Smith on the offensive side, LeBrin Smith on the defensive side. Brings up a 3rd and 10 from the 17. 3:14 remaining in the second quarter. Donnelly deep behind center. He's got 3 receivers to his left. Before we can even get a snap, we got a flag.
Nice delay of game penalty there.
And you are correct. Delay a game on the Panthers. So that'll move the ball back to the 22-yard line. Didn't seem like it took that long, but obviously the play clock said otherwise, and Franklin Regional's pushed back to the 22 would bring up a 3rd and 15. So Donnelly will set up again. From the gun, he's got 3 receivers to his left, 1 to the right. He's looking to his left, and he's going to be hit, and he's going to be brought down at the 30-yard line. Tackle on the play, number 72, Sam Coleman. Was there a flag on the play?
There was a flag on the play on the near side over here.
Okay. I must have picked it up quick. I don't even see it on the field. Oh,
Yeah,
there it
they
is.
did.
Okay. So flag on the play, and it's against the Cavaliers. I didn't see the call. What was the call there?
Not quite sure, but it came from the sideline coach or the sideline referee on the near side here. So I wonder if it's sideline warning for the fans, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
Can't say I've ever heard that one before.
So it was just a warning.
I believe so. Not quite sure what the fans did, but I guess they're getting too into the game.
So the play's going to stand. Okay, let's get you caught up here. The play's going to stand. It's going to be 4th and 22 from the 30. That's why the flag was in and out so quick. I believe it was just a warning to the Kiski sideline because the ball isn't going to move. That's where Donnelly was sacked on the play by Sam Coleman, and we're going to have a timeout here with 2:36 remaining.
Protecting the things you love and how you do so is among the most important decisions you'll ever have to make. TGIF Solutions can provide you with the peace of mind by supplying answers to all of your insurance needs, whether it be home, auto, business, life, or farm coverage. Contact the team at the Shellhammer Atwood Agency today in West Katanning to be sure that you, your loved ones, and the things that matter most stay safe when it matters the most. TGIF Solutions, insurance for what matters.
So back at Richard Diltz Field, get you caught up again in case you didn't hear us before we went to the quick break. It's 4th and 20 from the 30-yard line. 10-7, Kiski leads with 2:36 remaining. Looks like Franklin Regional is going to set up here for a field goal.
They want to tie this game
It's going to be a 47-yard field goal attempt.
Fans getting loud.
Kick is up. It looks like it's going to be just short. It hits the back line of the end zone. Not enough leg. Freshman Joseph Bain attempted a 47-yarder. Looks like he got under it just a bit. Don't want to talk about my own family, but I have a kicker in my house, and I've seen many kicks in my day, and that's not how you would strike one of those longer ones. So I would guess that Bain got underneath that one just a bit, and certainly you have to think that he has the leg to attempt it. Otherwise, he would have been out on the field, but nonetheless, the 47-yarder falls short.
And believe me, I'm never going to say, oh, I could do that, because some people don't understand how hard it is to kick 27 yards.
It is very difficult. As I said, I've seen a lot of time on the kicking field with my son and watched Cody Dykes attempt many field goals and extra points, and it's certainly a monster skill that not too many people can master. So here's Cavaliers on offense. Pickup's going to be about 4 yards up to the 24-yard line. 2:08 and counting, 2nd and 6.
We're going to get the 2-minute warning here.
Logan Johnson in the shotgun. That's Wilkins behind him. One wide receiver each right and left. Johnson hands off to Wilkins. Wilkins lowers his shoulder at the 30 and works his way up to maybe the 32-yard line. Gain of a few. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 4 with 1:30 and counting.
Strange to call a run there with that clock running. I wonder if Kiski's just kind of trying to run out the rest of the quarter and just go back to the locker room ahead by 3.
Yeah, I would assume, ball deep in your own territory. You're leading at home 10-7. No reason to do anything drastic or risky, if you will.
I believe they get the ball to start the second half as well, gentlemen. So
here's a handoff to Hepler. Hepler's hit in the backfield, but he spins off the tackle and works his way up across the 35. Big run by Chad Hepler. Unfortunately, I think for the Cavaliers, there's a flag on the play.
it looks like it's going to be a holding.
Great individual effort by Hepler. And indeed, you are correct, Joe. That's a hold on Kiski area. So the long run by Hepler is going to get pushed back, and the Cavaliers are going to be faced with a 3rd and 12, I believe. 3rd and 12 from the 27. Excuse me, make that the 24. Just under a minute remaining. Here's Johnson. We talk about being risky. He drops back to pass, runs through the middle, ball wide in his hands. He's able to get across the first down marker again, but again, another flag on the play.
These flags are really starting to hurt Kiski here. They make play after play, and then these flags just pull them right back into a tough situation. Oh, they're waving it off.
So this one will be good. Talk about Kiski. We thought they would just be running out the clock. And indeed, they did run the ball there, but Logan Johnson was in the shotgun, and that ball was hanging down on the side and not really tucked too securely in his right hand, fortunately for the Cavaliers.
Trying to do a Lamar Jackson kind of look there, just running with the ball in the palm of his hand. That's very dangerous. But like you said, luckily he was able to tuck it in just in time to get down and get the first down.
So the Cavaliers call a timeout with 23.3 on the clock. They lead 10-7. When we come out of the timeout, they'll have a 1st and 10 from their own 32. I believe, is that Kiski's last timeout?
I do believe
I believe
so.
they called 2 earlier. The second one that I'm guessing on, I'm not 100% sure that it went to the Cavaliers. I know they called 1 early on, and I believe the second timeout was on their side. So they may have 1 left. I don't see it on the scoreboard. I'm guessing that was their final timeout, but here we go. Logan Johnson comes out. shotgun with 3 wide receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Logan Johnson was pointing to one of the potentially blitzing Panthers defenders, and that defender jumped off sides, and Cavaliers are going to gain an easy 5 yards. Right before the snap, Logan Johnson pointed to his left side as to say, hey, watch out, he's coming. And indeed he was, but just a little bit too soon.
Just a little bit too early, and you have to assume that, Kiski is just kind of crawling their way up down the field, and this is really hurting because they're not losing any clock time through these penalties.
So Dunmeyer and Diltz come on the field. Hutcherson and Holden exit. So 2 of the faster receivers exit for 2 of the bigger, stronger players, and there's one of the bigger, stronger players as he runs up to the 39-yard line. That's Brock Wilkins. And I apologize. As I said earlier, I wasn't sure about that second time out for Kiski. That must have been Franklin Regionals because this one was called by the Cavaliers, and indeed that will be their final timeout. So final timeout by Kiski with 14.7 on the clock. Ball is sitting on the 39-yard line. We'll call it a 2nd and 4. The Cavaliers, as we mentioned, do have an all-conference kicker, but they're going to need, I'd say, probably at least 35 yards.
Yeah, I would
to
say
get somewhere around field goal range.
I would have to say, and even for some of the professional kickers at this point, this would be a little tough for most people. This is not an area, no matter all conference, all state kickers, I don't think are going to be making this kind of a kick.
Well, we saw Franklin Regional just attempt a 47-yarder, so in order for Kiski to get in that same territory, they're going to have to gain 31 yards on the next play or two to get to that range.
I was going to say in a span of 14.7 seconds.
Cody Dyke certainly has a leg, but as you said, a 47-yarder for anybody is a sizable kick. So we'll see what happens. Here's Johnson rolling to his right. Avoids a tackler, fires downfield. That's Dylan Hutcherson. Hutcherson cuts inside. And as we said, Kiski has no timeouts left. The ball is going to be, the clock's going to stop as the ball gets set. Kiski's going to have to line up quickly and try to spike this ball. There's 3.1 on the clock. So the clock is stopped. Kiski comes to the line to get set. Now the referees stop the play. There's a flag. Wow. So let's reset again. There's a flag way back in Franklin Regional, Kiski territory at the 32-yard line. So after all that screaming and hollering, after all that excitement, the play is going to be voided.
Speaking of hollering, you can tell the fans, the rowdies, are not too happy about that. At least that's what we called them at my high school. We had the rowdies.
Hutcherson with a big catch from Logan Johnson. Instead of breaking to his right and getting out of bounds, he tried to cut inside. He was tackled with 3.1 to go. The clock stops for the referees to set the ball and set the play. So Kiski had a chance to get the offense up, to get a spike off in that 3.1. Unfortunately, there was a flag, and that's going to signal, no snap. There is no snap. So the clock runs. That 3.1 is gone. We're at zeros on the clock. So at halftime, Kiski's going to take a 3-point lead into the locker room, 10-7.
And that has to feel good going at your home field, going into the locker room, up by 3, being up by even 1 has to be a good feeling knowing that, you know what, you are really winning in terms of your team here.
So before we bring the bands out on the field, as we mentioned last week, here at High Top Sports, the bands are just as important as the football players, and we bring you all the action from the games. That's halftime action with our bands and game time action with our players. Let's get you caught back up with what we saw in the first half. Franklin Regional was a quick 3-and-out on their opening drive, And then they were able to march down the field and put up 7 points for Caden Smith touchdown. Kiski came back and was able to answer on Franklin Regional's next possession as Sam Coleman intercepted a ball inside Franklin Regional's own territory. And that tied the game at 7. And then a Cody Dykes field goal gives Kiski that 10-7 lead.
And notice that comeback and then that 3 points, what did it come off of? Defensive plays. A fumble that was recovered, but before the fumble was the interception that was brought to a touchdown. So I remember you, Mark, saying that Coach Albert was really big on his defense, and now I'm really seeing it. I think I'm truly understanding that no matter how much your offense falters, as long as your defense is really able to pick up that slack, you are never out of the game quite.
Yeah, Kiski's defense came out very strong in the early going. As I said, a quick 3-and-out. But then the Franklin Regional offense looked like they basically could run any play in the playbook. As several runs, several passes, they marched easily down the field. And we mentioned Caden Smith, put the first touchdown in. And then all of a sudden, the defense got back on track. Sam Coleman came out of nowhere to intercept a pass. And then on the next possession, Franklin Regional fumbled the ball. Brock Wilkins came up with it. And Kiski was able to turn that into 3 points on a field goal. So 2 turnovers led to 10 points for the Cavaliers.
And now look what that's did to them. Now they're up, and the missed kick by Franklin Regional now is the reason why it's only 10-7.
So as we said, we're going to get you out to the bands here at halftime. Franklin Regional's band will be up first. We got about 19 minutes left in the halftime show, so we'll see you here in a little bit. As we get set for the second half, Kiski leads 10-7.
All ready to go. Kiski check out. Second stand at the end of the end zone. And also our cheerleaders are on our visitor side with a blue tap. They're celebrating song. Not for chicken. It's a mozzarella cheese piece over there. Check them out. Also, there's a chicken in the end zone as well. Thank you for supporting our supply sports.
Testing. Test. 1. Check. 1, 2. Check. Test. Check. 1, 2. Mic test. Can you hear me? Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2, 3. Check.
Is the real life? Is this just fantasy? All in a maze, no escape from reality. Into the skies and sea.
was going on shows between studies and those balls I saw with nail things just Kansas. Brothers of choice, it's way under your skin. Brothers, the band was under the field direction of drum majors Thomas Heber, Megan Shaw, and Chloe Zuko. Panther Marching Band is directed by Lauren Silvestri. Assistant directors Brian Pointer, Nick Nutter. Band front coordinator Ashley Whitman.
The drum major was a vacated are Camille Grant and Gina Cross. The colors are captains are Macy Auden, Abby Mortensen, and Mackenzie Hoover. This evening, the Kiski Marching Band will be performing the first and second anthem show entitled The East is Shifting Sea. The music you will hear today comes from the brainstorming, including a track selection regional parody from the Circus Oasis Shut Up Tour, and a piece of music called Tour by the composer Stephen Baldwin. Some of this Join us next Saturday at February 11th for our annual book fair featuring 10 games around the There's also a donation to Kiski Music Festival, which is the American Field Day. This event includes going to the Mason Valley, which is a area of Ohio, Pearl, Highland, and Hill, Plum, Grandville, Derby, Freeport, Valley, and Ethiopian Victoria. Tickets for those who we bought at the booth. Biggest event of the beach will occur on October 9th at College Park Avenue, where the band will be playing with the band from regional champions. Best of luck to all KD bands and bar members throughout the 2025 season. Further ado, here are the first two productions of this today's show, Beneath the Shifting Sand.
I know, I was like,
Welcome back to Richard Diltz Field. We're just under 2 minutes left in halftime. Kiski leads 10-7. We have some scores here for you from some other High Top Sports Network games. Freeport leads Knock 26-0. And right before the half, Armstrong leads Deer Lakes 28-6. As I said here, Kiski area leads 10-7. And right before we went to halftime, Tristan, we talked a little bit about the Kiski area defense. I'm excited to see what happens on the offensive side. Let's see if Kiski can get some of that running game going. We saw in the last few possessions that they had that there were spurts from Wilkins and Hepler where they were able to move the sticks, and then all of a sudden some penalties and or just stalled plays were putting Kiski in the punt formation. But I feel like there's some stuff in there on the Kiski offensive side.
And with Kiski being able to run and have a good defense, a lot of people would point out that Kiski has a lot of clock control. They decide, you know what, we want to run off this many minutes off the clock, and then using that defense, they're able to really decide when they're on the field and when they're not on the field, and really run that clock to put the game in their favor, that where they're always ahead on the scoreboard and they're never really battling to get back in terms of the clock. So I want to see that continue, and I'm sure that Coach Albert would also love to see that continue to have that clock control from his defense and running game.
If you're just joining us, Franklin Regional opened the scoring as Caden Smith took a pass from Donnelly. That was Connor Donnelly to take a 7-0 lead. And then Sam Coleman intercepted a Donnelly pass to give the Cavaliers their first touchdown. Cody Dykes was able to convert on a field goal, and that's where we stand, 10-7, as we get the second half kick. It's a high short one to Danino. Danino's hit at the 25, keeps his feet as he crosses the 30, looks like up to the 31, 32-yard line. So Dom Danino takes that kickoff for about 18 yards, and Kiski will take over 1st and 10 from the 32.
You know, that's not a bad place to start. You know, your own 30, I mean, you would want ideally 40 or more, but you know what, the 30 compared to, you know, like the 25 or less, that's not a bad place to start your drive.
3-yard line.
So Logan Johnson, we talked in the pregame about possibly seeing two quarterbacks here. So far, it's been Logan Johnson all in the first half, and indeed he opens the second half from the shotgun. The handoff is to Wilkins. Wilkins is tripped up in the backfield. He's able to get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe gain one, but that's about it for the Kiski running back.
A quick trip up there, and you know what, sometimes I wonder if the turf monster may have been able to get his hands up on him, but we'll have to see if they're going to continue with that run game, or, you know, second down and a long way to go. Maybe a pass is in the book.
So we'll call it a gain of 1, 2nd and 9 from the 35, just shy of the 35. Here's Johnson. Hand off again to Wilkins. Wilkins again plows his way up the middle. This time across the 35 to the 37-yard line. So he gained 1 on first down, and it looks like he picked up 2 on second down. That'll bring up a third, a long 6, short 7, however you want to call it. 10:46 and counting in the third quarter. Johnson with Wilkins to his left, 3 wide receivers wide. That's Johnson going to his left, rolling, looking, dumps it over to Hilty. Hilty catches it across the 50, up to the 45, into Franklin Regional territory, tackled at the 45-yard line.
And what a great way to bait that defense to follow him around. He just kind of dumped it over the top, but that was a great play there and able to really open up his receivers, a sign of a very good quarterback.
So we talked about Calvin Heinley, Calvin Heinley, the team's leading receiver from last year. He is yet to record a reception, but old reliable so far this season, Matthew Hilty, right there on the spot, and he's able to cross midfield and give the Cavaliers a first down. Johnson again looking to pass, fires. That was intended for Heinley, and it was wide to the sideline, incomplete. So we've seen Johnson in the first game and a few times here in the second game try to get some rhythm with his old buddy Calvin. I joked with the guys early in week 0 that anytime you see Johnson get in trouble, the safety net is just to toss it up to Heinley. It seems like he's developing some rapport with Matthew Hilty, because so far Heinley has been shut out in a game and a half.
Mark, I was going to point out maybe the old Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster dynamic. You know, everybody's so worried about Heinley, they just forget about Hilty, and Hilty is now just dominating with that.
That was Brock Wilkins on that carry. Explosion up the middle here. Down to the 36-yard line. Let's call that a gain of 9. Great run by Brock Wilkins. As I said, exploded up the middle, just shy of the first down.
All these running backs from Kiski seem to have very explosive running ability. They just hit that hole and they're gone, just immediately right up to 100.
Yeah, this drive kind of reminds me of the first one that Franklin Regional scored on some dinks and dunks, really emphasizing the run game, looking very, very similar to that scoring drive that the Panthers had on their first touchdown.
It's Dunmeyer in motion, handoff to Wilkins. Wilkins up the middle, and Wilkins first down. So 4 Brock Wilkins carries, 2 first downs, mix in a Hilty catch and a first down. And Kiski is at the 30-yard line of the Panthers.
And did you see Wilkins kind of walking back, shaking his head? He says, "This is my field. I am dominating this game right now," and it shows in the scoreline.
His first 2 runs of the half went for 1 and 2 yards. The last 2 have been very explosive and powerful. It's Kiski 1st and 10. Wilkins again. Wilkins again up the middle, off the left side, inside the 30. I'm going to guess about a gain of 3. Call it 2. He was tackled at the 26. So we see Wilkins exit the game, and here comes Chad Hepler.
Let's see if Hepler can be as explosive as Wilkins there. He was really showing once he hit that hole, gone, immediately gone.
Hepler's definitely known as more of the speedier, quicker back, but as you said, Wilkins showing a lot of explosiveness on those 5 runs. Here's Hepler. He's going to go up the middle, this time off the right side. And this time, the Cavaliers will gain 4. That'll put them at the 24. Let's call it 3rd and 4 from the 34. Excuse me, 24. 7:27 and counting. Kiski leads by 3, 10-7. This is the opening drive of the second half, and it's been all Kiski area. All Kiski area running as Hepler plows his way up the middle, across the 20, inside, almost to the 15, and that's a first down.
And Mark, to your point there, you talk about this being the first drive and being all Kiski. About to eclipse 5 minutes already gone in this quarter. We were talking about when you run the ball like the Cavaliers are able to and incorporate that short dink and dunk pass game, you could eat up a lot of clock. Able to do so in the first half and continuing it now into the second.
We've seen 7 or 8 runs, 1 little timely pass to Matt Hilty, and as you said, we're under 7 minutes here. And another Kiski first down. Here's Hepler off the left side, handoff from Johnson. He's hit just shy of the 15. That's Nicholas Petrucci on the tackle for the Panthers. Hepler picked up 2 on that run. Again, we talked earlier, it feels like, I know Kiski loves to run the ball up the middle. I know they like to pound the center of that defense, but you feel like they're setting something up for the outside, whether it be the toss that we've seen a few times, maybe the wide receiver screen, or just a simple bootleg from Logan Johnson. You feel like something from the outs is coming to the outside. Here is Johnson looking downfield. It's a jump ball to Calvin Heinley, and it is incomplete. That is Maddox Morrison on the coverage there.
I thought you had the interception there. I thought Morrison was about to come down with it. What a great play by the receiver to go from receiver to defensive player in almost a split second.
So 3rd and 8 from the 16-yard line. 5:58 in the third quarter. As I said, this is the opening drive of the second half, and it's been all Kiski. A big third down here. Logan Johnson deep behind center, 3 wide to his right. He's looking right, throws it across the middle to Hilty. Hilty is able to make the catch at the first down marker, and he's able to get just enough before he is tackled, and Kiski has another 1st and goal.
They had Wilkins in the backfield there. I thought that they were about to run it, but a nice pass there and able to pick up the first down.
Great chemistry in the first 2 games between Johnson and Hilty. Hilty has been extremely reliable. That is his 2nd catch of this drive, his 2nd first down. Kiski has 1st and goal from the 7. Here's Johnson, handoff to Wilkins. And he's not going to get a chance as there's flags on the far side. That's going to be a false start penalty on the Cavalier offense, so move them back 5. And Kiski will be faced with a first and goal from the 12.
More penalties seeming to pile up for Kiski here.
Yeah, we saw it on the drive right before the half. Kiski was trying to make a late scoring drive, and several key flags stalled that. And the one right there. So let's say first and goal from the 13. Here's a handoff to Wilkins. Wilkins bangs his way across the 10, maybe to the 8-yard line. Call it a pickup of 5. 4:53 and counting. Again, hate to be redundant, but this is the opening drive of the second half.
I think that's the most important thing to talk about is how they have just absolutely owned this clock.
This Franklin Regional defense has been getting pounded up the middle, and a couple timely passes to Matt Hilty. And Kiski is in business at the 7-yard line. That's Dunmeyer in motion. Hand off to Wilkins. Wilkins up the middle. Wilkins falls down at the 2. Tried to roll his way or stumble his way into the end zone, but he was tripped up just shy. They're going to mark it at the 3-yard line. And that'll bring up third down for the Cavaliers. Third and goal from the 3.
You know what? I'd give it to Wilkins. I'm going to have to be honest. I'd give it to Wilkins. He has been absolutely unstoppable. Just give it to Wilkins. Give him the touchdown.
Our player of the game last week was Chad Hepler. But as you said, it's been all Wilkins here for the Cavaliers from that running back position. And again, that's Wilkins taking the direct snap. He falls his way maybe to the 2. We saw Hepler, I believe, on this drive have 2 carries. I believe one of them was for a first down, so he's certainly been a contributor. But as you said, it's been all Brock Wilkins from there. And there's a timeout on the field by the Cavaliers. The timeout was right before the Cavaliers were going to be faced with a 4th and goal from the 1.5. So Sam Albert will bring his troops over. They'll talk about what they want to run. But we're going to be faced with a 4th and goal from the 1 with 3:18 in the third quarter.
Well, we have a quick break here. We at High Top Sports Network are excited to be broadcasting Kiski Area Athletics this fall. If you or someone you know is a local business owner interested in sponsoring HTSN's coverage of the Kiski Cavaliers athletics now or in the future, please contact us via our email, which is staff@hightopsportsnetwork.com. That's staff@hightopsportsnetwork.com, or on Facebook at High Top Sports. And you can always call us at our number, 724-824-3554. High Top Sports Network covering Kiski athletics all season long.
So Kiski will come out. The offense is still on the field. 4th and goal from the 1.
This has to go to Wilkins.
No quarterback on the field. A direct snap to Brock Wilkins. He plows his way into the end zone off the left side, and Kiski extends their lead to 16-7.
How crazy is that? Wilkins touchdown. I mean, that had to have been it. He has run the ball, I imagine, most of this field today. He has been absolutely unstoppable up the middle.
Yeah, as you said, not much of a surprise who was going to get the ball there. Just a matter in what fashion. Kiski lined up with Wilkins behind center. It was a direct snap right to him. He followed his left side of his line and bowled his way in. Here's Cody Dykes. The kick is good. Right down the middle. And Kiski extends their lead to 10 points with 3:14 remaining in the third quarter.
Now, Mark, can you believe how long of a drive that was? By my calculations, that was about 9 minutes on that drive. 9 whole minutes of complete and total Kiski offense. I mean, when you're Franklin Regional, if you don't come out and have a similar number, that's another loss in the score column here for this game.
You're 100% right. Just shy of 9 minutes There were 2 passes to Hilty and I believe 2 runs to Hepler, and I would estimate a solid 8 to 10 carries by Brock Wilkins there. So let's say it's 8, 2, and 2. My Kiski math from way back in the mid-'90s tells me that's at least a 12-play, 9-minute drive by the Cavaliers, and a heck of a way to start the second half.
That has to be quite demoralizing if you're the Panthers coming out and seeing a 9-minute just stomp of your defense. You have to come out and absolutely put up a statement on the scoreboard here.
Franklin Regional put up 41 points last week against Plum. Let's see what their offense can do this time out as Cody Dice gets set to kick. That is Caden Smith deep for the Panthers. The kick is high. It's going to be short of the goal line. Smith settles underneath it at the 7, across the 20, explodes his way up the middle, across the 30, midfield, and he's going to go. 20, 15, 10, 5. That is a Franklin Regional touchdown. Flag was thrown late at the Kiski 21-yard line.
I imagine probably a block in the back of some kind, Mark.
Excuse me, we're waiting for the signal. That's usually a safe bet, especially when a guy goes untouched. Can't imagine there was no face mask, obviously.
Waving the flag off.
Unfortunately for the Cavaliers, that flag is waved off. And just like that, Caden Smith shows himself again. That's his second touchdown of the day, and Franklin Regional gets right back in the game.
I guess Franklin Regional will say, listen, if you want to play the long game, that's fine. We'll come back in a couple seconds on the kickoff, and we'll drive it right down the field right there.
I believe I said he caught that around the 6 or 7 yard line, so a 90-plus return by Caden Smith. He started off the right hash, exploded his way up the middle, and was basically untouched as he was able to get Franklin Regional their second touchdown of the game and the first of this half. Extra point is up by Joseph Bain, and now the Kiski lead is back to 3. 17-14 with 3:01 left in the third quarter.
That's not good. Wilkins down, seemed to be trying to stretch it out. I hope he's okay, especially for that Kiski offense.
Brock Wilkins, we touched a little bit about the cramps in the games last week, and Brock Wilkins was certainly one of the players for Kiski that we saw on the field many times last year. We saw the same thing for Brock, so I don't know if Coach Albert's going to have some pickle juice on the sidelines, some salt tablets or whatever, but hopefully that's the only thing going on with Brock right now. See the trainer working on his left leg down toward his calf. I didn't see anything on that extra point that would have been violent enough, to be an injury.
Looked like when he first went to the ground, he immediately started grabbing his leg and trying to stretch it out. It's that kind of that telltale sign that someone has a cramp. So it looks like that's the case. Hopefully that is, in fact, the case. But that's what I observed there.
One of our colleagues, Josh, last week, we'll see how he gets up off the field, but he called it the cramp walk. He said you can always tell by the way they walk off the field, they got the cramp walk. So hopefully Brock Wilkins is able to get up and show us that cramp walk. But 3:01 remaining in the third quarter. Franklin Regional was trailing 17-7 after Wilkins scored from the 1 yard line to extend the Kiski lead to 10. Basically a 9-minute drive by the Cavalier offense. And within the next 30 seconds to a minute, Franklin Regional gets it right back to 3 as Caden Smith takes it 90-plus yards off the kickoff.
And again, my first broadcast for High Top Sports this season, I'm already incredibly wrong with my first take of the season, but I just hope it doesn't get any worse than that. I might not be allowed to come back.
Wilkins is still down on the field, so we're going to go to a quick break while they work on him. 3:01 remaining in the third quarter. Kiski area leads 17-14.
Shop and Save at Franklin Village is a family-owned, community-dedicated supermarket with a wide variety of quality food and friendly personnel to make your shopping experience easy. Stop by their award-winning butcher shop where you'll find the freshest cuts of USDA-inspected beef, pork, and poultry. Head to the bakery for the freshest bread and rolls, and don't forget to stop by the deli for an excellent selection of cold cuts, meats, cheeses, and prepared foods like their fantastic fried chicken. That's Shop and Save at Franklin Village.
So welcome back to Diltz Field. 17-14, 3:01 remaining in the third quarter. Brock Wilkins was able to jog off on his own power. We didn't see the cramp walk, but just based on his reaction, it looked like everything's okay. As Franklin Regional freshman Joseph Bain sets up for the kickoff. Kick is away. Hilty corrals it at the 10-yard line. He crosses the 25. Let's call it the 26, and that's where the Kiski offense will take over with 2:56 remaining.
And I think I see Wilkins. I think, oh, may not.
Looking for Brock Wilkins in the huddle. I don't see him there, but I also don't see him on the sideline. That's C.J. Hepler in the backfield along with Braden Dunmeyer. Logan Johnson at quarterback. Hands it off to Hepler. Hepler cuts back. Off that left side. He's tripped up just shy of the 35. Up to the 34. And that's a gain of 8 yards.
I guess they're not missing Wilkins that much if they're going to be able to run the ball like that without him.
As I mentioned to you on the last drive, C.J. Hepler was probably the leading rusher. I didn't see the official stats, but I would guess he was the leading rusher for the Cavaliers last week. Wilkins certainly had his share of carries, but tonight it's been the Brock Wilkins show up until this point. Here's Hepler again. And he's tackled at the 34. I believe he got back to the line of scrimmage. But I was saying, so we had a mixture of two running backs last week led by Hepler. This week, it's been a mixture of the two running backs led by Wilkins.
Yeah, and it's kind of that, like you were saying, there are two types of running backs. There's the one that's more of a power back and one that's more of a shifty, elusive back. And like you said, Wilkins, that power back has been needed a little bit more than being shifty. But you know what? Both are incredible players nonetheless.
Just under 2 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. 3rd and 1 from the 35. Here's Johnson. Looking to his left. Tries to buy time up the middle, and he's going to get brought down. That's number 72. And unfortunately, 72.
I believe 77.
That's 77. Thank you. That's Andrew Nessler.
What a nice play that was. That was a one-handed tackle, barely able to grab sort of the shoulder pad area of the jersey and drag down the running back. What an excellent tackle that was.
Big play by the Panthers defense as Nessler was able to drag Johnson down before he was able to slip his way across the first down marker. And Cody Dykes will punt. The kick is away. It's the best one of the night for Dykes. It's caught at the 28. That's Morrison. Across the 40 up to the 42-yard line. And that's where Franklin Regional will take over.
And I guess you're going to have to hope that Kiski is able to have a defensive stand, as we saw last time that Franklin Regional had the ball in this quarter. It was a kick brought all the way back for a touchdown, so you have to hope that their defense is able to shore up, but they want to continue into the next quarter with the lead that they have.
Now, this is the first time the Kiski defense has been on the field this half. Kiski scored on their opening possession, and then the following kickoff, or ensuing kickoff, was taken back by Franklin Regional. So here's the offense's first time out on the field. That's Donnelly. Flag is on the play. It's going to be illegal motion on the Panthers. We had two players in motion. They let the play resume, and that was Lawhorn Moore on the tackle. But as I said, flag was on the play. We have another Kiski player down.
I think it's another cramp.
Can't see the number, but I can tell by the dress, I believe that is Braden Dunmeyer. And I believe another cramp.
Speaking of which, I believe I see Wilkins on the field. I hope he's feeling a lot better since the last time we saw him on the field.
So last week, Josh and I were talking about how it felt like it was about 90 degrees or 90 plus on the field. It was very warm, and how we are able to skate through the first half without any cramps. And then all of a sudden we jinxed it in the second half. It seemed like every other play somebody was down, and here we are again. It's certainly a lot cooler tonight, but we've seen two Kiski players down on the field with what we assume are cramps as Braden Dunmeyer is able to get up, walk off on his own power. And indeed, you were right, Tristan. Wilkins is back on the field. I see him in the middle linebacker position. It is 2nd and 12 from the 39, 37 seconds on the clock in the third quarter. And before we are able to snap the ball, the Cavaliers are going to call a timeout. So let's go to a quick break as Kiski leads 17-14, 37 seconds remaining.
Gross Embroidery and Sign Shop is the official clother of High Top Sports Network and is a family-owned company that can handle all your custom embroidery, custom sign, and laser engraving needs. Located at 409 4th Street in downtown Fort City, Gross Embroidery and Sign Shop can create sports and career apparel to the exact specifications of your organization. Their laser engraving department can put your logo or design on glasses, tumblers, insulated cups, signs, coffee cups, and more. Call Gross Embroidery and Sign Shop at 724-763-2461 today.
Welcome back to Richard Diltz Field, coming out of a Kiski area timeout as the Cavaliers lead 17-14. 37 seconds left here in the third quarter. 2nd and 12 from the 39-yard line. Here's Donnelly from the shotgun. Looks to his right, fires. The ball is caught. That's Smith. Smith avoids a couple tackles, works his way to midfield. He's going to be short of the first down. Looking to see where the spot is. The first down marker is Kiski's 49. At best, he was able to get the midfield. So we'll call it a gain of 11. And that's going to bring up a 3rd and 2 when we start the fourth quarter. That is the final play of the third quarter. Kiski leads 17-14. As we mentioned earlier through this game, High Top Sports Network is now the official home for Kiski area football. So if you have a business in the area or know some other businesses in the area, please reach out to us as we have several opportunities for you to get out to your potential audience. We have several businesses in our area that already work with us through Armstrong and Freeport, and you could be a part of that. High Top Sports Network is official partner of 4 schools now in the AK Valley. And if you're interested, please contact us at staff@hightopsportsnetwork.com or by phone at 724-824-3554. For those of you in the Kiski area, you can also reach out to me, 724-681-8439. I've reached out to several of you already. Hopefully we'll have some of you on in next week's game. So here we are with the fourth quarter. 3rd and 2 from the 49. Handoff was Buska, and he is able to work his way across the 50 to the 48, and that's good enough for a first down.
First down.
First down for Franklin Regional. I believe that's the first down for Franklin Regional of this second half. As we said, they took the kickoff, their first possession to kickoff after Kiski's touchdown for a touchdown themselves. This is the first time their offense has been on the field. Here's another throw and catch by Donnelly to Smith. As Smith angles his way up to the 40. He's brought down at the 41 by Isaiah Gonzalez. If you're just joining us, Kiski had the ball for roughly 9 minutes in that the third quarter, the first possession of the second half. And on the ensuing kickoff, Franklin Regional returned the kick 90-plus yards to answer. And that's where we are right now, 17-14 with just under 11 minutes remaining. Here's Donnelly. Handoff. No, he's going to keep it himself. And he's not going to get much. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Tackle on the play by Lawhorn Moore. And I believe he was assisted by Dunmeyer as well.
Yeah, and you can see that Kiski defense is doing what you want all of your defenses to do, which is swarm. One guy finds them, and then the rest just kind of come in behind him. So you can see that there's never really just one guy making a solo tackle. There is at least 2 or 3 Kiski players tackling on every single play.
3rd and 3 from the 41-yard line. Here's Donnelly. And in motion. Looks to his right. Fires to his right. The pass is caught at the 36-yard line. That's Maddox Morrison on the catch. And that's good enough for Panthers first down.
See, now if I'm Kiski and I'm their Kiski defense, I'm starting to get a little nervous. You know, this is only a 3-point game, and another touchdown would really help Franklin Regional. But Kiski, you cannot give up a score here. You're either going to tie it or lose your lead.
I did not mark the time of when Franklin Regional took over on this possession, but we talked about the roughly 9-minute drive by Kiski area, and Franklin Regional has certainly put together an impressive one so far. Here's a handoff to Buska, and Buska finds his way on the left side up to the 31-yard line, a gain of 4. Finish my thought there. I didn't mark the time that this drive started, but several minutes on this drive by Franklin Regional, and certainly looking like the Kiski offense. Many runs up the middle, some timely passes, controlling the clock, controlling the action, and as you said, they're trailing by 3, but the Kiski defense has got to be getting a little bit nervous as Franklin Regional continues the march. Here's a fake handoff. Donnelly throws it to his right side, complete over the Nate Trerizio. Just shy of a first down. I believe he's going to be 2 yards shy of the first. That'll bring up a 3rd and 2.
And Mark, to piggyback off of what you were saying about all those runs, did you notice that was a fake handoff, the throw, that play action kind of pass? You know, I imagine we're going to see a lot more of that. Franklin Regional playbook is really starting to open up here.
Absolutely. 3rd and 2 from the 27. Here's Donnelly looking left. Rifles the ball over the middle, and it's intercepted by Braden Dunmeyer. Dunmeyer across the 50, the 40 to 30. He's down the right side. They are not going to catch him. That is the second defensive touchdown by the Kiski area Cavaliers, and their lead is now 23-14.
We knew that was going to happen with that Kiski defense. It's only a matter of time on who's going to get that interception, and Dunmeyer said it's going to be me.
Wow. What an interception and return by Braden Dunmeyer.
When Dunmeyer wants the crowd to get loud, and they're definitely getting loud here.
And I don't think Braden Dunmeyer would be upset with me calling him not the fastest player on the field.
No, definitely
I can tell
not.
you he is not. But he certainly looked like it on that return. He took that ball on the right hash, down the right sideline, and nobody touched him. Braden Dunmeyer with an interception return, the Cody Dykes extra point puts Kiski up 24-14.
And that now makes 3 turnovers that Franklin Regional has given up on this game so far, and that has really dug them into a hole so far. But Kiski, you have to hand it to their defense, have really showed up in this evening's matchup.
We talked about defense a lot in the pregame, certainly by the score. Last week, Kiski gave up 7 points. Franklin Regional gave up 12. If you watched the Kiski game last week, that game probably should have been a shutout. If you watched any games last year, Kiski relied on their defense. Tonight, they have showed exactly what we talked about. Sam Coleman with an interception, return for a touchdown. Brock Wilkins was able to recover a fumble, which led to a Cody Dykes field goal, and now we have a Braden Dunmeyer interception return for a touchdown. 17 points off of turnovers. And Kiski leads 24-14 with 7:56 left in this ball game. I can't get over how quick he was down that sideline. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but Braden Dunmeyer also plays basketball. I am a volunteer coach with the basketball team, and I'm good friends with the varsity coach, Corey Smith. And I'm sure he was aware of how quick Braden was moving on that play. I expect to see that on the basketball court here in November and December. Holy cow, was Braden Dunmeyer moving on that play.
Yeah, you said that usually he's not the fastest, but I can argue there he was definitely the most determined player on that field.
No doubt. Braden Dunmeyer with a great interception and return to extend the Kiski lead back to 10 points. Here's Cody Dykes. Set the kick. Back deep. I don't believe that's Caden Smith. That looks like number 16. I believe that's Aiden Hudock. And it is. The kick, onside kick, I missed it. I was looking back at the returner, and next thing I know, Kiski comes up with the ball. This is something that Kiski did numerous times last year. Cody Dykes works on this religiously at practice in his own free time, works on squib kicks, pooch kicks. Kiski area is able to come up with the ball, and their offense will take over in Franklin Regional territory. Cody Dykes drilled the ball into the lineman, and the ball popped up in the air, and it was recovered by Kiski area. So the Cavaliers offense returns to the field with 7:52 remaining. Here's a handoff to Wilkins. Across the 50, approaching the 45. He's tackled by number 77. That's Andrew Nessler again.
So, Mark, I have to ask you, do you think that was planned? Because as we saw, that was a kick that went right off of the chest of the Franklin Regional player. And I have to wonder, you say he practices those a lot. Do you think he did that on purpose?
I would say absolutely, because, again, Cody Dykes is a great high school kicker. And as you've seen, he can kick the ball deep, right? That was clearly a line drive, and I have seen Cody and his coach work on different onside kicks, different pooch kicks. I don't know if it was designed to line drive off the player specifically, but I guarantee you that there was some sort of plan with that kick. Here's Brock Wilkins again, plows his way down to the 35-yard line as Kiski picks up another first down.
And think about that momentum, if you're Franklin Regional, you just got that interception scored on you, and you're like, man, now we got to get back in this game. And now you just gave him the ball again. That has to be demoralizing for a team.
Especially with 6:45 and counting left in the game, trailing by 10, and Kiski moving again. Here's Wilkins. He's hit in the backfield as he's able to fall towards the line of scrimmage. Called a no gain. But, yeah, you mentioned the big kickoff return by Franklin to get the deficit down to 3. They get a stop on the offensive side, or excuse me, on the defensive side. Their offense is moving down the field. It had to be a solid 4 or 5 minute drive. And all of a sudden, Braden Dunmeyer extends the lead back to 10. Under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. 2nd and 10 from the 35. Logan Johnson picks up the snap off the ground. He's looking deep. He's got Matt Hilty down the sideline, but it's underthrown. Zach Buska was able to get his hand up as Matt Hilty had several steps on the defender.
Yeah, Johnson, if he just had a little bit more arm underneath that, that would have been a touchdown. Unfortunately, just a little outside of his range.
Matt Hilty was streaking down that left sideline and had a lot of space between him and the defender, Buska.
Well, at least a good 2 or 3 yards.
But the ball was underthrown, and Zach Buska was able to get a hand on it, and it's 3rd and 10 from the 35, 5:47 remaining. Here's Johnson again. Dump off to Hilty. Hilty, 30, 20. Rolls his way down to the 16-yard line. Flag at the end of the play. Kiski pointing one way, Franklin pointing the other. It appeared to be a block in the back, but still waiting on the signal. Our scoreboard chief telling me it's going to go against Kiski. Let's see if he's right. Still no signal.
Seemed to be an argument on whose
And indeed he is.
laundry it is.
It is an illegal block. And that long gain by Matthew Hilty is going to come back.
And that's tough, especially because in a play like that, in a screenplay like that, where a lot of things just kind of break down, it's tough to be able to keep the play in front of you and not throw any illegal blocks. So I guess you can't be too surprised, but it's still tough for Kiski.
So part of that play will, trying to get caught up here. There's a timeout by Kiski. I believe part of that play is going to stand. The block in the back came late on the play. The scoreboard is showing 3rd and 3. Looking at the marker, it might be closer to 4, short 5, however you want to call it. So let's call it a 3rd and 4. With 5:37 remaining, Kiski calls what I believe is their second timeout.
I definitely think you're right on that call. That's definitely their second timeout, but that must be tough. You know, if you're Kiski making a great kind of screen pass across the middle of the field like that, but it's still coming back, but at least you got something out of it, better than nothing.
We had a cool, calm drive by Franklin Regional. They were working their way down the field, and then excitement just exploded here. Braden Dunmeyer with an interception return for a touchdown. Extend Kiski's lead to 10. And now Kiski's on the march again. Matthew Hilty was wide open down the left sideline. Logan Johnson wasn't able to get it to him. He connected with Hilty on the next play, but a flag called that first down back. And here's Brock Wilkins for Kiski. He's going to be close. And indeed, he does pick up the first down for Kiski.
Definitely close. You could tell a lot of players, nobody knew which way that was going, but lucky for Kiski at least that they were able to move the sticks on that play.
So the Hilty first down that was taken away by a block in the back is picked up on the next play by Brock Wilkins.
Wilkins really picking up the slack in this game. He has been absolutely explosive throughout the whole game.
Just under 5 minutes left in the ball game. Kiski leads 24-14. Here's a first down fake run by Logan Johnson. He handoffs to Brock Wilkins, and Wilkins crosses the 25 to the 23.
A player down for Franklin Regional. Unfortunately, I think he dropped his head whenever he hit.
Indeed, there is a player down on the Franklin Regional side, so we'll take a quick break here with 4:47 remaining. Kiski leading 24-14. High Top Sports is your home for football now in the AK Valley, as we have extended our coverage to Kiski area to include Knock, Freeport, and Armstrong. So if you are a business owner or know a business owner in the Kiski area, make sure you reach out to us at High Top Sports, and we'll get you some coverage.
I was going to say, Mark, you had mentioned that you had already talked to some different businesses in the area. And just remember, Mark knows. He's like Santa. He'll come get you.
Yeah, we have definitely talked to several businesses around the area, and word continues to seep out as we talked many times about High Top Sports. I believe we had 40,000 visitors to our website and hundreds of thousands of viewers on our social media pages. So if you are a business in the area that's looking to reach your target market, certainly High Top Sports is the way to go.
Yeah, Mark, just to kind of feed off of what you said there, last week, week 0 for High Top Sports Network, 3 games on the dockets, well over 10,000 views. And that number continues to grow. And why that continues to grow, folks, we leave our content up on our website available to you at all times. We don't want to charge you for it. We're not a subscription base. We don't believe in that. We want to make sure that you guys get to enjoy these games live and later on. And as mentioned, our games always reappear on our website. So if you're watching it tonight, you want to watch it again tomorrow, heck, you want to watch it on Sunday to get your football fix in all weekend long, you can do that. Just log on to hightopsportsnetwork.com. To get all of that wonderful content we provide for you there.
Speaking of wonderful content, we're going to take a quick break, and you can see from one of our proud sponsors.
Douglas Insurance Services, located in Sarver next to Freeport High School, is an independent insurance agency, which means they've made available some of their best companies for your online quick quotes. Douglas Insurance Services offers personal insurance coverages to their clients in Pennsylvania, including individual annuities, boat and watercraft, auto, condo, and flood insurance. Call them today at 1-800-722-9990. Douglas Insurance Services, a proud sponsor of Freeport Athletics.
Welcome back to Richard Diltz Field as Kiski leads 24-14 with 4:47 remaining in the fourth quarter. The injured Franklin Regional player was unable to see his number, but he walked off the field with the help of coaches and or trainers. So hopefully that young man is okay. Kiski will be faced with a 2nd and 7 from the 22.
Mark, you can see that Kiski kind of wants this game to be over and just go home, as they were making sure that everybody had the game clock running.
So the referees are going to call a timeout now. They're going to talk about the situation with the play clock and the play itself. So the play clock was not running. The game clock was not running. But there were some questions on the play clock. So we'll get this set up. As I said, it's a 2nd and 7 from the 22 with 4:34 remaining in the game. Kiski leads by 10.
Like I was saying, Kiski just kind of wants this game to be over with. They just want to run out the clock and go home and go to bed. But a great job by both of these teams. You know, they really put it all out there on this field.
Absolutely. Very exciting game here. And I know the Cavaliers were fired up. A lot of bulletin board material. One of the local papers had the Cavaliers predicted to lose this game, and I saw it posted up in the weight room of the article, and there was definitely talk amongst the players and a lot of heated talk between the fan bases from both schools. So certainly right now the Cavaliers appear to be on their way to gaining bragging rights.
Yeah, like you were saying, it appears, there's still 4 minutes left in this very intense game.
So the game clock was not running, but it was adjusted to 4:12, and now it is. So we're going to be under 4 minutes when this play goes off. Here's Logan Johnson. Hand off to Wilkins. Off that right side. Lowers his shoulder. And he's going to be just short of the 20-yard line. We'll call it a pickup of 1. We'll say 3rd and 6 from the 21 with 3:30 and counting. So a big 3rd down for the Panther defense here.
Yeah, if they can stop it, maybe they can claw their way back into this 4 minute or 3 minutes and 20 seconds. That's still a lot of football to be played.
A must stop here for Franklin Regional as Logan Johnson takes a snap, hands off to Wilkins. Wilkins off the left side this time. Again, lowers his shoulder, dives his way across the 20, maybe to the 18. Nose of the ball, on the 18.
I was going to say there, Mark, you have to wonder when Franklin Regional is going to decide to start using these timeouts. Not a lot of time left, under 3 minutes now, clock continuing to roll.
Under 3 minutes and trailing by 10, faced with a 4th and 3. So the play clock is approaching 10 seconds, so that'll be about 2:25 when this play is over. 4th and 3. Here's Johnson. Handoff. That is Hepler, and he goes nowhere. Hepler will get back to the line of scrimmage, and Franklin Regional will take over with 2:23 on the clock.
Wow, that's tough.
So Kiski does part of their job. They certainly wanted to grind down some of that clock. But where they had the field position there, I'm sure they would have loved to put at least a field goal on the board, if not probably the dagger touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to say, we both know that they have the kicker to kick 3. I don't know why they didn't there, but
that's a good question. From the 20-yard line would have been a 37-yard field goal, or excuse me, let's call it the 20, was around there. That would have been a 37-yard field goal. Maybe Coach Albert not wanting to risk a block and an immediate or an easier chance for Franklin Regional to score. So he elects to keep the offense out. They get stopped, and now Franklin Regional will take over. There's a pass by Donnelly. Catch is made by Hudock. Hudock across the 25, approaching the 30. I believe he's going to have enough for the first down.
And the biggest and most important part of that play, Mark, was that he stepped out of bounds. The fact that the kid caught the ball and was pushed out stops the clock, and that's basically a free timeout for Franklin Regional.
Indeed, that is a first down for the Panthers. I agree with you. It looked like he stepped out of bounds, but the clock is still running. Indeed, we're under 2 minutes. The clock is going, so Donnelly from the gun, looks to his left. Now hit as he throws, and the ball falls short of an outstretched Brock Wilkins. Not sure what happened on that last play. It looked like he was out of bounds, but the clock was still running. But Franklin Regional came up to the line, and Donnelly was hit as he attempted that pass.
And I can see that the Franklin Regional coach up here is trying to understand why the clock wasn't stopped as well.
2nd and 10 from the 29. 1:45 remaining in the game. Franklin Regional trails by 10. Here's Donnelly. Looking left, now comes back to the middle. He's hit. He's sacked. That is Sam Coleman again. Sam Coleman with his 2nd sack of the game. And Franklin Regional is going to be faced with a long 3rd down.
And you have to think, that again, the killer is that clock continues to run, now down under 1:20, and that is just absolutely killing Franklin Regional right now.
Kiski defense steps up big on that second down as Sam Coleman is able to drag Donnelly down to the ground. 3rd and 16 with just over a minute remaining. Here's Donnelly. Pressured again, and he's going to go down again. This time it's Deshaun McBride. It looked like number 8 on the tackle to me. The PA announcer mentioned Sam Coleman's name again. Regardless, the Kiski defense steps up. A loss of 4 on the play, and it's 4th and forever with 30 seconds and counting. Franklin Regional in no hurry to get this 4th down play off. The play clock is under 5. Unless they call a timeout here, indeed, they're going to get called with a delay of game. There's the flag. After the sack, Franklin Regional was faced with a 4th and 20. Make it 25 now as they get called for a delay of game with 10 seconds to go.
If I'm Franklin Regional, I would just kneel the ball at this point. This game is over.
What a great job by the Kiski defense. Again.
Yeah, we've been saying that so much this evening. Great job of the Kiski defense again and again and again and again. Those are definitely the players of the game this evening.
So the Franklin Regional offense stays on the field, 4th and 25. Here's Donnelly. Desperation mode, fires to Caden Smith. He catches it at the 24. Smith gets away from LeBrin Smith. He's still on his feet at the 35. Across the 40. He's tackled by number 3. That's Calvin Hindley. Calvin Hindley out on the field, I guess. No, excuse me. That's number 7. That was Brock Dunbar. That makes a lot more sense. And regardless, the game ends. Kiski takes the victory 24-14.
And what a great game to watch. I mean, this was a true, barn burner from start to, I guess, right before the last drive.
Yeah, we had a major ball control drive by Kiski that was kind of just pacing our game to start the second half. We had an explosive kick return right after. Franklin Regional came out on their next offensive possession and had a slow ball controlling offensive drive, and all of a sudden, explosions, led by the Kiski area defense. We have talked about this Kiski area defense, it seems like all night, from the pregame all the way to now to postgame, and it was the star of the show. 2 touchdowns on interception returns and a forced fumble, which led to a field goal. So 17 of the 24 points right off the defense.
And, do the math, 3 turnovers. That is electric. That is definitely something we're going to be talking about next week whenever Kiski plays. Well, this defense is just absolutely unstoppable.
The Kiski team approaches our sideline on the fence, and it's bedlam with the student section and the football players as Kiski comes away with an enormous Week 1 victory over Franklin Regional. As I said a little bit ago, one of the local papers had predicted Kiski to lose this game, and I don't want to say rightfully so, but if you watched Kiski's first game, the offense was very sloppy. I mean, they were able to grab a 21-7 victory over Butler, but it was a sloppy victory, especially on the offensive side, while Franklin Regional put up an impressive 41-12 win over Plum. But Kiski certainly tightened things up today. The defense stepped up to another level. The offense was very efficient on both sides, running the ball, passing the ball, and it led to a 10-point victory.
I was going to say, it's that running and passing the ball. Like you said, stopping all the mistakes, stopping all of the unnecessary malfunctions, and now they are able to come out here and have a big win at home and really stomp out the doubters this evening.
What a fun victory for Kiski as well. For all of you Cavalier fans out there, certainly this has been something that's been building under Coach Sam Albert in each of the years that he has been here. The win totals have increased. Excitement has been building. There hasn't been a ton of excitement around the football program in a long time, but certainly here in the early going, it's definitely been exciting to be around the Kiski area football team. A big 21-7 victory over Butler last week and a 24-14 victory this week. So we talk about player of the game, and I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to throw it to you first.
I'm going to have to say Brock Wilkins. I mean, come on. Who else? I imagine one of those star linebackers that we were talking about in pregame, and also just absolutely pounding the ball. And during that 9-minute drive in the third quarter, who was the one that carrying it the most? That was Brock Wilkins, and putting the touchdown at the end of that 9-minute drive. It has to be my player of the game.
It's very hard to argue with that, especially, I mean, Brock contributed on the defensive side with several key tackles. His runs were so punishing on the offensive side, but it's hard to not pick somebody on the defensive side as much as we've talked about them. Braden Dunmeyer again, you know, he had an interception return that was well over 50 yards, several big tackles, especially early on. He had a couple, I believe it was a sack, couple big tackles, but I think I'm going to have to go with Sam Coleman. Unheralded, unsung. Most of the time you don't talk about the lineman. On the defensive side, Sam Coleman, I know, had 2 sacks, a few tackles, and he had that big interception for Kiski's first touchdown. Franklin Regional marched down the field, took a 7-0 lead. Kiski's offense wasn't doing much at that point in time, and Sam Coleman came out of nowhere to intercept the ball inside the 20-yard line and return it, and I believe that set the tone for what we saw the rest of the game. So I'm not going to argue with Brock Wilkins. Maybe we just go with player of the game here, because certainly what Brock did by punishing that Franklin Regional defense and helping Kiski just control the game certainly has value. But for somebody like Sam Coleman, who probably doesn't get his name called much, I know he doesn't get a ton of recognition, I'm going to have to give it to Coleman.
And I was going to say, whenever Coleman got that catch, I think you and I can both say you could feel the energy of this game. There was a big momentum swing, and we just knew that this was going to be a different game the moment that interception was brought in for a touchdown. But Wilkins, that's another kind of that mental part of the game. I mean, I don't know about you, but if Brock Wilkins was running at me full speed every single time he touched the ball, I wouldn't want to tackle him anymore. I'd say, you know what, somebody else can do that. I don't want to do that.
100% agree with you there. So we're going to go. We got to cop out. We got to take the easy way out. We'll go co-MVPs or co-players of the game. Brock Wilkins for what he did on both sides of the ball, and Sam Coleman for the big interception return and a couple key tackles and sacks for losses on the defensive side, as Kiski area takes the Week 1 victory 24-14. So, Tristan, I appreciate announcing with you here in Game 1. I hope we get to do plenty of other games the rest of the year. Looking forward to next week's game. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
Me either, but I'm sure we'll know whenever we get there.
and normally I have those things off the top of my head. I know Kiski's on the road next week, so we will not be here at Dilt Stadium. But wherever we are, you can hear that game here live on High Top Sports Network. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next Friday night as Kiski celebrates a 24-14 win.